Suzanne?
Sir? It's okay. No worries.
Documents. Next thing. Oh. I got some candy. Oh, you got stacks. Yeah, you're good. Who said what?
You know.
Because you didn't want to deal with it. Yeah, we do.
And council, I have a whole.
Oh, you
want more?
It's just trick or treat. It's like Halloween or something. Right?
These Reese's Pieces.
You can pass them out. It's the people's money. It's like, go for it.
Meeting will come to order. The time is now 7:09 p.m. The executive session has been concluded. Will all participants in the executive session please state their names for the record? Kelly, I'll begin with you.
Kelly Case.
Rusty Neal.
Robert Zuluaga.
Stephanie Alfieri.
If any person who participates,
Jeff Wilson. Jeff.
Sorry.
If any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the Opens Meeting Law, I ask that you state your concerns now. Hearing none, the next agenda on the item is call to order and roll
Item
call.
on the agenda.
What did I say? I don't know.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem LaBarre,
Present.
Councilmember Alfieri,
Right here. Hold on.
here, Councilmember Keys,
Here.
Councilmember Neal,
Here.
and Councilmember Zuluaga.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
America, we love you.
All right, and we're off to ceremonies, presentations, and appointments, and we're going to begin with the Girls of the West presentation.
Hello, I'm Corp. Palmer. I'm the director of the Girls of the West program for the Pikes Peak West Rodeo. It's a volunteer position, and this is my 20th year, so very much nice that I get to have a summer with beautiful women. The Girl of the West this year is Georgia Semeno. She's a big time in the
Okay. Oh,
There you go.
all right. So my name is Corliss Palmer. I'm a volunteer for the Pikes Peak Bus Rodeo as director of the Girl of the West program. It's my 20th year. All the rodeo are volunteers. We're supposed to have a range rider here tonight and a rodeo board member, but we are it. So you're lucky that you get the women today. The 2021 Girl of the West is Georgia Tremenis. She just got her associate's degree from Arapahoe Community College, and she'll be attending UCCS this fall, majoring in communications. She wants to one day work for the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame, but she's working at a vet clinic now, and she might be changing her path. The Pikes Peak Bus Rodeo holds a special place in her heart because her brother is serving in the U.S. Army as an airborne ranger, and she'll talk about that. She's the 19-year-old daughter of George and Jenny Stromenos from Larkspur, and she rides a pretty pink mare named Josie. Please enjoy George's presentation.
Hi, my name is Georgia, and I am the Girl of the West. I serve as the proud ambassador for the Pikes Peak Bus Rodeo, and I have to tell you, I cannot wait for this year's rodeo. The Pikes Peak Bus is a very special rodeo for me and my family. We love all that it stands for, our Western heritage, the sport of rodeo, and especially giving back to the local military and their families. My brother is currently serving, so this is all very near and dear to my heart. I'm proud to be a part of this rodeo family and the beautiful community that we live in. I am proud of an event that brings people from all over together to celebrate all that is good about our country, the growing sport of rodeo, and to honor the sacrifice made by those who serve this great nation. So I am more than excited to tell you that Championship Rodeo is coming to town this summer, July 14th to the 17th at the Norris Penrose Event Center. The Pikes Peak Bus is pro rodeo at its finest and one of the most beautiful venues there is to enjoy the sport. As a PRCA Pro Tour Rodeo, you will see the best athletes competing in the 7 events, which include bareback, steer wrestling, team roping, saddle bronc, tie-down roping, barrel racing, and bull riding. There's also the fan favorite mutton bustin', where a trophy and a medal are awarded to the winner at each performance. And these trophies are even as tall as some of the kiddos. You won't want to miss our specialty act, professional rodeo entertainer Amanda Payne and her Longhorn Steer Wrangling Extravaganza. Tickets for the 80th Pikes Peak Bus Rodeo are on sale now, so buy yours early and online at pikespeakerbus.org to choose the best seats in the house. The rodeo runs Wednesday, July 14th through Saturday, July 17th, with performances at 7 p.m. Wednesday through Saturday evenings and a Saturday matinee at 12:30 p.m. The Pikes Peak Bus Rodeo is one for the true fan, the first timer, and everyone in between. There is lots going on before the rodeo too. The grounds open at 4 p.m. before the evening performances and at 10 a.m. before the Saturday matinee. Come early, avoid the traffic, and enjoy all the family-friendly pre-show fun in our fan zone. There will be mutton busted tryouts, mechanical bull riding, pony rides, a petting zoo, dance lessons, and you can grab a bite to eat in our feedlot tent, and parking is free. Our local military are honored at each performance. Fort Carson on Wednesday evening, Missile Defense and First Responders on Thursday evening, Space Night on Friday evening, the United States Air Force Academy at the Saturday matinee, and NORAD US Northcom on Saturday evening. The Pikes Peak Bus Rodeo has proudly been supporting local military and their families since 1946. All of the performances will start with the Pikes Peak Range Rider Pivots and the Pikes Peak Rangerettes drill teams, followed by the Fort Carson Mounted Color Guard. You can stick around after the rodeo for autographs from the contestants, the Rangerettes, and the Girl of the West. That's me. Then head on over to the Coors Roadhouse Saloon for live music, dancing, and of course, cold Coors. I'm counting on all of you being at this year's rodeo. The dates again are Wednesday, July 14th through Saturday, July 17th. Save time and purchase your tickets online. Discounts are available for military, groups, first responders, and children 12 and under. You can find all this information and much more about our rodeo at our website, pikespeakerbus.org. Be sure to wave to me when you see our awesome pink Perkins Ram truck all over town as I head out to represent our rodeo. Please also plan to join us bright and early on June 16th from 5:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. for the annual Colorado Springs Western Street Breakfast and the official send-off for the Pikes Peak Range Riders annual ride. Enjoy a $5 breakfast prepared and served by active duty military volunteers. Now you know why I am so passionate about this rodeo and all that it stands for. So I want to see all of you at the 80th Pike Speaker Bus Rodeo, July 14th to the 17th at the Norris Penrose Event Center in Colorado Springs.
I want to add that we have some posters in the back. If you would put them around town, we'd really appreciate it. And there's some flyers for the street breakfast and some Western Heritage calendars for people to pick up. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. That was a good presentation. All right. Next on the agenda, we have B. We've got Logan Simpson, Comprehensive Plan Update. Is it possible to bring the PowerPoint up onto the screen? Perfect. All right. Just speak into the mic. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I'm Christy Bruce with Logan Simpson, and we're working with the City of Woodland Park on the Comprehensive Plan Update. I'm going to go through what we have heard so far, and if it starts to sound a little bit repetitive, you'll start to see that we're seeing some common themes come to the forefront. As requested, I will try to stay to 10 minutes, and then if there's questions at the end. So we started the process in February with some baseline, setting the ground. And then April through May, we did most of our public engagement, a lot of the subcommittee meetings and preliminary plan. We're moving now into phase 3, where we'll develop goals, objectives, and actions, and preliminary code assessment. And then moving on into phase 4 in July for the code update and the final adoption. So process and roles, we've set up the streamlines so that there's multiple touch points for the public, for council, for planning commission, and for residents and others who want to be engaged. Some of those key touch points are in surveys, the subcommittees, public review of the draft plan, and the planning commission workshops, which will happen after the draft plan and before the final plan. Engagement opportunities include one-on-one interviews, and those are still open. I had a few requests come in today. Surveys, all 5 surveys are now open. And the 4th of July pop-up event, where we'll be hearing from citizens at a booth at the 4th of July celebration. So who have we heard from? We've talked to 24 plus stakeholders. We've had 3 focus groups with the high school, city staff, and the senior center. At Town Hall, we had about 67 participants. Questionnaire 1 is getting a lot more activity these days, but we're at about 323 responses. Questionnaire 2 is at 215, and questionnaire 3 is at 50. There was some questions about the ability to take this survey multiple times. It looks like Bang the Table stores cookies, and so we're able to see how many times a survey's been taken on each device. And I've looked through, and there are a few multiples where someone may have had multiple people in the family take it, but there is no single device that has taken it like 20 or so times. The most is 4. So who have we heard from in these one-on-one chats? We've talked to a wide range of representatives from the community, including students, folks who are retired, people who only work in Colorado or Woodland Park, people who work in Colorado Springs, representatives of CARIS, small business, the hospital, fire and safety, and others. And the main things that we've heard are primarily the reliever route, the love of views, proximity to Colorado Springs, the DDA property development, and really a lot of what I'm hearing is this combination of opportunities from the reliever route and development of DDA authority to create this more vibrant Main Street. And that is one of the most common themes that you'll hear from all of these different areas. Another thing I'm hearing a lot is rooftop dining, which I found interesting, but a lot of people are excited about that opportunity. So who are we hearing from locationally? Area 6 is really involved, and areas 4 and 5 are a little bit less involved, and we'll talk about addressing that in just a minute here. As far as who we're hearing from on the age range, hearing from folks from the 30s and 40s to 70s, a lot in that age range. And that was one of the primary reasons we reached out to the high school and to the senior center to understand a little bit of what's happening in those other age groups. So as far as what do you love about Woodland Park, we aggregated what we've heard from a lot of the different surveys and everything and put it into a word cloud. And the primary thing is mountain landscape, community character, and small town feel. As far as what should be improved in Woodland Park, things that rose to the top are traffic management, installation of the reliever route, walkability, indoor-outdoor recreation, and affordable housing. So moving on to some of the focus groups discussions. Civics class, we had an interactive mapping program with them and just tried to get a sense of what they'd like to see. A lot of it is experiential opportunities, such as drive-in theater, skating rink, some of those things. They also had a focus on trails. At Community Town Hall on April 14th, a lot of what we heard is that people wanted to look at water and continue to manage water wisely. They wanted managed growth. They appreciated and wanted to continue a focus on the mountain western character. They wanted to focus on Main Street and downtown and the reliever route, walkability, and wildfire. Today I had an opportunity to talk with a small group at the senior center after bingo and talk to about 10 folks. Distributed paper surveys to make sure that not every survey is online, but there's an opportunity to fill it out on paper. And some of the focus areas that they were concerned with is speeding, driving visibility and stop signs and the ability to make left turns, restaurant variation, and no additional large big box such as the Cabela's. They would like to keep it a small town feel. More different kinds of restaurants, and they didn't have any problem with pedestrian mobility. Oops. So moving on to questionnaires, we wanted to give you some of the key takeaways that we're hearing so far. Questionnaire 1 is a greatest needs survey. A lot of the questions were taken from the survey in 2010 and then added to a little bit. Some of the key takeaways were steer growth in an intentional and purposeful manner. Housing is affordability, fire prevention and mitigation, and short-term rentals. And for a lot of the conversations I've been having, affordability is less about housing affordability and more about ensuring that the community doesn't become an elite community, that there's room for all different types of folks and that there's a place and housing available for nurses and other folks who work in town. Key takeaways for the economy is job opportunities, restaurants, downtown vibrancy, and the DDA development. For motorized, it was the reliever route, trail connections, walkability, and reducing speeding. You're starting to notice some patterns, I'm imagining. Some key takeaway from the community is civility and how we talk together to each other and interact. Supporting age in place, different food options, local activities, and promoting community pride, year-round indoor and outdoor recreation, and supporting the school district and dual use of school facilities. Moving on to questionnaire number 2, there's a high number of home ownership among the people who took this survey, about 83%. And a lot of what they'd like to see is more single family, but close behind is duplexes and townhomes and apartments. Questionnaire 3, we have fewer survey takers on that one so far, but it is going up this week. And some of the key takeaways is that almost 40% of the people who responded hiked on a trail every day. 64% use the trail every week. So it's a community of hikers.
About 85% would like to see more connections to Forest Service trails. The most visited park is Memorial Park. I was there today and it was very busy. 40% have a family or family member in parks and recreation programs. And there's a focus of paying off the pool before any additional assets are added. On the right there, you see the top choice of improvement is Ring the Park, which is a trail network around Woodland Park. So next steps, we launched questionnaire 4 and 5 on Monday. We have 2 more subcommittee meetings, one on Monday, this coming Monday, and one on June 28th. There's going to be planning commission work sessions once the draft plan is complete to ensure that there's no gaps or overlap and to kind of sort out what each subcommittee has said and ensure that it's a seamless product. There were newspaper ads for the questionnaires that went out on May 19th and 20th, and we saw a good bump in participation on the surveys after those went out. We are planning to do door hangers for neighborhoods 4 and 5, where we're seeing a low participation rate, and asking, getting some volunteers to help us distribute those. We're sending out flyers to Homeowners Association, Kiwanis, seniors, the Chamber Grapevine, and Rotary to get a good push on the surveys now that they're all live. Like I mentioned before, we'll have a booth at the 4th of July festivities and a finalized public draft in September, and then start on the preliminary code assessment. So that is our presentation update. I can take questions if you have any.
Council, any questions, comments?
Yeah, so I want to thank you for tightening up and getting more public involvement. That's a certain plus in the way you're doing this. That's good. Being involved in the committees, I just want to publicly say to those who aren't engaged in it, this is a aspirational document. It's not a legal document. And but if you want to have a say in where the community aspires to, please do. And my comment to ourselves and the city is, from my perspective, I'm not intending an aspirational document to become a legal document. So we're not looking at it to restrict private property rights because of a vision of a shared vision. I want to make very sure that on our code assessments and the way that we evaluate those, we are not increasing control of your property because of a greater good. The greater good is you. So I just want to make that comment about where we are in this process. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from council? No? All right.
Rusty, you happy?
I am now. I had a long talk with I need to see the final date.
You want to tell the rest of it?
Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to item number C, and that is the appointment of the deputy municipal judge. Our municipal judge has asked for some assistance on the bench. She's very busy, overwhelmed with cases. They have a backlog from COVID, and she had support, but that support is no longer available. So we were tasked 5 months ago with a group to appoint the deputy municipal judge, and the previous mayor had asked for volunteers. Councilmember Case and I had volunteered for the hiring committee, as well as the municipal judge, the clerk, city clerk, and the city prosecutor, court clerk, sorry, Suzanne was not there. So the 5 of us interviewed a number of potential candidates. They were all excellent. One happened to rise to the top with a vote of 4-1 in favor of, and that was the deputy judge. Last name's Carlson, first name escapes me at the moment. I apologize. It is Ronald Carlson. And this evening we would like to have council consensus to appoint him to the municipal deputy judge, municipal court deputy judge. I can't get my words right tonight, you guys. It's going to be a minute. So, and council, do you have any questions?
I understand he's out of town, is that correct?
Yes.
Like out of the country town?
Oh, no, he lives here in Colorado. He has served on at least, he currently serves on 7 other benches as the municipal judge.
I think what,
And-
did you mean tonight, right?
That is right, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, he's on a vacation right now, I believe. So
Right,
that's why he's not here tonight.
right.
Okay.
So the last deputy is still overseas, right?
She's currently back.
Oh, she's back. Okay. good.
Yes.
All right.
But he's been municipal court judge for Frisco, Blackhawk, Silverthorne, Winter Park, Granby, Kremling, Hot Sulphur Springs. He has been a city attorney or planning commissioner or assistant attorney general for Leadville, Georgetown, Minturn, Frisco. So he has small town experience. He interviewed very well. He's got a very even experience with prosecution and defense. And overall, he just came out on top for us. So that's who we brought as a recommendation this evening to council.
And one final question for you is,
Sure.
I understand that the type of cases that generally the deputy clerk handles are, could you kind of elaborate what that looks like? Are we-
Mostly tickets, speeding tickets. Yeah, just municipal violations that you can be ticketed for, nothing major. We haven't had a jury trial in this court since our court clerk could recall. It's very rare. The judge offers it, but it's hardly, well, actually, it hasn't been taken up on in a number of years here. And it's pretty rare for municipal court to have a jury case. So. Any other questions? No? Hearing none, could I get a motion to appoint Ronald Carlson as the municipal court deputy judge?
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Ronald Carlson to serve as Deputy Municipal Court Judge.
And I'll second it.
Alfieri? Yes. Case?
Yes.
Labar?
Yes.
Neal?
Yes.
Zuluaga?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. And Mayor Pro Tem Labar, I will bring Mr. Carlson back to meet council one night when he's available and to swear him in and administer his oath of office.
Great. Yeah, thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item D. That's approval of city manager's contract and oath of office. And this evening, we're actually going to carry that over to our next council meeting. So we're going to hold that one over for the evening. And we're going to move on to E, which is presentation, update, and request for council and community support for the Salute to American Veterans Rally.
Hi, Mayor LaBar, Council. I'm Jim Ware. I'm the founder and organizer of the Salute to American Veterans Rally. I'm here with my wife, Pam. Pam grew up in Woodland Park. Her family still lives here. I've also got some members of our rally committee. Andy Tyler, you know him as the commander of your Veterans of Foreign Wars post here in Woodland Park. Ray McPeak is our rally committee chairman. And Scott Prater from the Brotherhood of Veterans. This is the man who's in charge of the ride over at the high school every year that leaves out of there. And the rally committee is made up of all veterans. This is only a piece of it, but we work for them. So the rally committee ensures that the Salute to American Veterans Rally is run with honor and integrity and in the interest of our veterans. We've got a couple videos to show, and I think we'll run the first one right now. Okay, so that gives you a little feel for what goes on at the event. Now, the second video explains why we do what we do. I'm Jim Ware. I am the founder and organizer of the Salute to American Veterans Rally. The rally is an effort by civilians to honor veterans, to recognize their service, to thank them for their sacrifices on our behalf, and mostly to welcome home vets that might have never really gotten one. Our older veterans, our World War II and Korean veterans, were treated pretty good, you know, when they came back. A lot of them got parades, and certainly they were hailed as heroes, especially the World War II guys. Vietnam vets, not so much.
On behalf of the City of Cripple Creek and the surrounding communities, I would like to extend a warm welcome to you as we celebrate the 23rd Annual Salute to American Veterans Rally.
For 25, 30 years, a lot of these guys lived in hiding. We felt like we needed to do our little part to say, hey, you know, we get it. We know what you went through, or at least we can try to imagine what you went through, and God, are we sorry, and thank you. So the least that we could do is pay a little tribute, you know, have a little thank you.
Today, the country welcomes them with open arms. Even though we never had our own parade, we wanted to make sure that our sons and daughters got welcome home, and that the country looked at veterans differently.
The might of America is not its weaponry, it's its people. And now is the time to cohese and come together.
So that video clip comes from this documentary that was made for Vietnam veterans called The Time to Honor. It's one of the many things that came out of the rally that made Cripple Creek, put Cripple Creek on the map for veterans all over the country. And this is our last copy that we have, and we'd like to give it to the City of Woodland Park for all your past support of the POWMI recognition ride. So the Salute to American Veterans Rally is the largest, longest standing gathering of veterans in the Western United States. It's the largest event in Teller County for over 20 years. We bring the largest number of out-of-town and out-of-state visitors to Teller of any special event. We have an outstanding record of safety with law enforcement, with nearly 0 issues in 3 decades of running this event. We have unprecedented active duty military support. As a matter of fact, in 2020 with COVID, the one and only event that was to be supported by Fort Carson, Northcom, and Peterson Air Force Base was the Salute to American Veterans Rally prior to it getting canceled. It's extremely difficult to get this military support for a civilian event. If anybody's ever tried it, knows and understands. But they love this event. The plans that we have to submit have to be very detailed and specific. There's a huge approval chain of command that it's got to go through. And especially when you're changing venues and moving to Woodland Park, any kind of changes to the timeline, the venue, means starting over, resubmitting, and risk losing assets. As a matter of fact, when you bring in a general officer like the commander of Northcom, the Public Affairs Office wants to know how many steps from where he's going to park to where he's going to speak, to where he's going to have lunch, and back to his vehicle. That's how detailed we have to be in that plan. So you saw what the event looks like on the videos, what it looks like in Cripple Creek. What it's going to look like in Woodland Park is going to be smaller, it's going to be shorter, a little more subdued, but the important things, which is the fundraising for our veterans, are going to remain in place full on. We're going to bring 5,000 to 25,000 people to town, visitors. And right now, I think that's something that we could use. The only way that we've been able to do that to this point is because of Councilwoman Case or Councilperson Case being an advocate for this rally. And she coordinated meetings with leadership. She, coordinated the press release to go out. She's been talking to people like crazy, and I know she's busy, and she's been spending a lot of time on this. And most importantly, assisting us with making contacts for fundraising, because without any city sponsorship dollars like we typically get, sponsors, businesses locally, that's extremely important. So we want to thank her. We also want to thank Mr. Lawson for, streamlining the process, waiving the fees for us to be able to use the park, et cetera, and providing the infrastructure support that we need for bringing this kind of event to Woodland Park.
Jim,
Yes.
I want to acknowledge Dan Williams because he played a significant role with me in doing all those things. And without him, I wouldn't have been able to do all that on my own. So I just want to include Dan in that acknowledgement.
Absolutely.
And thank him.
Absolutely. And Dan is a great veteran and a great American. Timeline wise, end of last year, when we decided not to go back to Cripple Creek, we searched all over Teller County for a venue. We had an opportunity to go to Clear Creek County. They wanted us to take the rally up there. In fact, County Commissioner Williams expressed that he really would like the event to stay here in Teller. So we made much consideration because, again, starting over in a new venue is extremely difficult. We looked all over Teller County for a venue, and truly we're looking at, if we can pull this thing off, we're looking at probably a break even on our end for this thing. But again, we're doing this because the veterans need it and we can raise some money for them. It's always a big roll of dice for us. And, we could have everything perfect and bad weather can tank the whole thing. So, it's a challenge. We took a specific plan to tell our leadership to include the only workable venue that we thought we could make happen. And we offered up a ride only option, which meant like what we did last year was only the ride, no rally. We offered that up. But overwhelmingly, everybody involved said, no, we need to try to do the ride and the rally, so move forward. We had a great meeting with the department heads after it was announced publicly that we were coming to Woodland Park. PD backed us up. They liked the plan. We could make it work. The gentleman that runs the park, he was good. He was on board. And the one thing we did do was adjust the timing on the POW ride when Commander Hallsworth expressed some concern about what time of day we run the ride. So we're going to keep the ride in the morning like it has been, as traffic is much less on 24 earlier in the day. Most recently, we made some additional concessions in, after that meeting, we were provided with some additional concerns over timing with activities at Memorial Park. So we compromised, we adjusted timelines to include no activities on our side of the park until after 1 p.m. when the other event closes. And again, we continued pressing forward and making commitments. Most recently, we made additional concessions in agreeing to the request that was sent to us in writing for an 11 a.m. start time Friday for setting up. But in order to meet that challenge, we had to add Thursday to our setup. And adding Thursday to our setup to accommodate the other event means like $5,000 for us, because that's another day of staff, rentals, hotel rooms, meals, etc. But that's what we needed to do to make it done. So we submitted our temporary use permit on May 10th to include those outlined compromises and that timeline. It was a difficult decision to make that happen, to start at 11 and add Thursday, because as I said, we were looking at a break even. But at this point, we are way too committed to too many entities, including the military and the Combat Hero Bike Build, et cetera, to back down. And we're obligated fully to do these fundraising activities in the interest of our veterans. as far as those fundraising activities go, we've donated over $100,000 to support local veterans over the past 20 years. Last year, even with the rally getting canceled, which is a huge financial hit for Pam and I mean, we had everything done when the rally got canceled. We were still able to donate over $5,000 to the Teller County Veterans Assistance Fund that's administered by County Commissioner Williams and another group. And, you know, we were happy to be able to make that happen. All the proceeds from the ride that the Brotherhood runs, all the proceeds from the silent auction that we run, and from the Red Friday shirt program, all that money goes to a local vet. We don't retain any of that. And this is a free event. We don't charge admission. So it's about the veterans. And, you know, in a good year, when we get a good turnout and Pam and I can sell some t-shirts, you know, we can do pretty good. And there's been some other years where we've almost lost our house over it. The important thing, though, is the rally. We need to have the rally. Not having the rally last year had some real consequences to a lot of veterans. Right now, veteran suicide is through the roof. Drug and alcohol abuse, you know, because of lockdowns, complications from PTSD, these guys getting locked up and then not being able to get what they need from the VA because, you know, you couldn't go out in public for all those months. It hit the veterans hard. And, you know, depression is a real problem amongst vets. And what this rally does for these veterans is pull them up out of that. And besides the veterans, the citizens, I think, of Teller are in pretty bad need of some patriotism and some flag waving and some unity. And the gentleman at the end of that video said, you know, now is the time to come together and cohese. And that's what we need to do. So, you know, this is not magic on Pam and I's end. It's like we set the table, and the veterans who show up and the people that show up and the patriots who show up, they're the ones who make this thing happen. And we have account after account after account of veterans who were contemplating suicide or had a plan in place to take themselves out. And their experience at this rally pulled them up out of that and made them a survivor of that depression that causes so many veterans to take themselves to suicide. Our mission here is to provide the best possible experience for the veterans in attendance, and we're plowing forward full steam ahead in that interest despite being in limbo now for the past 30 days or so. But we got one shot to make this happen. We've got 36 hours. We've got from like 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday through close of business Saturday to get this fundraising done and provide this healing venue for these veterans to gather, to have some camaraderie and just be with each other. What we need now is the ability to move forward with full approval. So same as last year, when we came to you at the last minute, when the rally was canceled, asking for your support, we were able to get this letter from Mayor Carr, which outlined us being able to move forward with the plan in place and expressed his support to the county and the city. And we're going to ask for a letter, something like that, so that we can move forward with the plan in place. We're looking forward to bringing Teller County's largest annual event to Woodland Park. A lot of tourists, a lot of people excited about it, and a lot of money, and create an event that we can all be proud of on August 20th and 21st. And we thank you for having us.
I'd just like to thank all of you for being here tonight. It's a pleasure to see you, and thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Dan.
Any questions from anyone?
Well, I'm very excited that you have chosen to walk out on a limb to bring this event, an annual event, and make Woodland Park the focus of that. For Woodland Park residents, this is an amazing opportunity. I know it's been going on. I attended this event when it was in Cripple Creek, and I'm not a military man, but I tell you, it brought me to tears to see these tough, rough guys come together in a way guys do, and to see the empathy, the compassion from the retired military, the speakers, to see them be able to do something that gives them pride, ride their own bikes, hang out together. I mean, to me, it brought tears to my eyes. It really did. It totally impacted me. So I just want to say, I think this is a great, not only great healing for our vets, but for our community. This is a very wonderful opportunity. And it does beg the question about logistics. And I'm glad you've asked for a letter to say that, we give you our support, because I would like to invite up, I don't know what the practice is, but I would like to invite up the sheriff to talk about some of those that he's experienced over the last, not 30 years, but in the logistics of this. What do we have to look forward to from our side that we need to be very heads up and work together with in a quick manner to make all this happen smoothly? So Mayor Pro Tem, would it be okay if I invited
Sure, certainly.
the sheriff up to just kind of talk a bit about, and I know we have, well, anyway, I'll just shut up.
Before he gets, while he's coming up, I'd just like to say, I've attended it. I ride and know a lot of these folks that do over many, many years, have attended the rally many, many times. It is very touching, and it's not just the guys.
Not just
It's the girls too. Lots of them. Thank you.
Lots of them.
I was married. Wasn't looking at the girls. I was looking at the guys. And please.
Well, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. And it's good to see you all in public, no masks. And it's nice to see everyone here. So I'm Sheriff Jason Mikesell. I want you to know that I was actually at your first event. I was a young deputy. I've done it for 20 years. I left for 2 years. So those were the 2 years I wasn't here. And I'm glad to see it here. I supported last year's event when it wasn't very supported. And I wanted to make sure our veterans in this community know that they are supported. The sheriff's office has approximately 100 personnel, right around 100 volunteers from our search and rescue, our posse groups, our reserve units, from all walks of life. The Teller County Sheriff's Office actually has one of the highest density of veterans that are actually employed as law enforcement officers than anywhere in the state, I believe. So we have a very good connection with our veterans in our community. And the one thing I'll say is in 20 years of doing this, very few issues have ever come up. We have issues with traffic. We have issues with just a large amount of people. But for the most part, this event generates less crime and less issues than a lot of other issues we've seen. So really for us, it's all about the traffic control, the moving people where they need to be, shutting off roadways. And here's the pledge I will make to you. I know that always a fiscal responsibility is an issue for a city dealing with this type of event because you have overtime, you have a lot of people. I will tell you for over 20 years, the Teller County Sheriff's Department has assisted in this event. For most of those years, I've sent anywhere from 30 to 60 personnel up to assist with that event. So for a police department in Cripple Creek, which has right around 17 to 20 officers, we have pushed forward with that many people to assist to make sure the event went flawlessly. And Jim Weir's always been a very good partner in doing so. The other side is I'll pledge that all of my personnel, with all the logistics, with all the planning that are necessary for it, will be here to assist you. And it won't be at a cost to you, right? So I will bring all my personnel in to assist Michael in making this happen for you if you so choose to do so. Any questions?
Wow.
Thank you, Jason.
Great.
Thank you. Wow.
Jim, would you like to step back up to the podium or do?
I was just waiting to see if anybody had any questions.
I know Suzanne mentioned we have some people who'd like to comment. So.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, we have several signed up. Carl Anderson would like to speak.
Okay.
Thank you, council members and city staff. I'm Carl Anderson, 602 County Road 511 Divide. I've been a longtime supporter of the farmers market. My wife and I go there, spend money, buy stuff, eat, all that kind of stuff. When Memorial Park was under construction, my wife went to bat for them and got permission from the management of Vector Bank to move it there. so that they could continue to survive. But I got to admit, my support has been shaken. I'm disappointed by the way the farmers market has treated our veterans in this rally. I think it's quite honestly insulting. The language that they've used, the manners that they've taken to cost this veterans rally more money is absurd. There's nobody belongs in our memorial park more than the veterans. And City Council needs to consider how they support the farmers market in the future based on how they judged and treated our veterans. Enough's enough, farmers market. If you want the continued support of Woodland Park, its businesses, its citizens, then you support our veterans. Because if you don't, I won't personally shop there anymore. Either will my wife. If their place comes in jeopardy again, we will not step up to the plate to make it happen for them. And I'd like to know if there's anybody here from the farmers market tonight. Okay. I appreciate you being here tonight to hear this. So we need to take this step. We need to support this rally. We need to make it happen. The way I see it, personally, I'd like to see them start first thing Friday morning so they don't incur any other cost and they get a smooth, seamless event. They have the support of the community, the businesses. Personally, if I was the farmers market, I'd thinking that Friday could be our busiest day, could be our most profitable day. Matter of fact, I would have a booth at that farmers market for one of my several businesses because I see the potential in the profit margins there. So I think the farmers market needs to consider that. I think the farmers market also owes the veterans an apology for how they've treated them, how they described them. An apology needs to be made. That's my feeling on this. And I think you guys need to take a tough stand on it. And you need to let the veterans of our community and our nation know that Woodland Park is behind them. And I appreciate you guys for stepping up and having the rally here. Okay, so thank you very much for your service here. Thank you very much, veterans, for your service. And let's have a great event.
Thanks, Rob.
Next, signed up to speak is Colt Simmons.
Okay.
Colt Simmons, Florissant, Colorado. I'm not here as your county assessor right now. I will be in a little while, but in support of the rally too. That's a hard act to follow with Carl. I just like to echo that. I'd like to echo what the commissioner has done here, working with this case and the rest of the crew here, and along with the sheriff. So you have three of the senior folks out of the county here to support this. We support it. We're all veterans. Many of us are veterans who ride bikes. And I just want to throw my weight behind this too. And I'm not going to add any more comments until I'll talk a little later on assessment reappraisal for about 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elijah Murphy.
Okay.
Good evening, City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Mayor Pro Tem LaBarre, council members. I'm Elijah Murphy on the historic UDN at 204 West Midland Avenue in Woodland Park. That film that Jim showed, that was pretty awesome. One of the guys riding on the helicopter, a guy by the name of Ken Overturf, retired colonel from the U.S. Army, kind of saved my butt. When I got out, I was lost. I was wandering. I didn't know what I was doing. He was a former Special Forces guy and actually had been looking for me for about 3 months when he finally found me emptying trash up at Farish and decided to hire me to do great and wonderful things for our warfighters. And it reminded me, I lasted for about 5 years there in the defense contracting, and then the PTSD stuff started getting a little overbearing and the stress and everything. as I began to find out that I was actually aging and I wasn't the invincible Green Beret that I once was. I also saw guys that were in the service with me up there on those films. In fact, a couple of them are here tonight. And it reminded me about this community. This is a 25 to 30% veteran community. We work together. This is just one event, but it is the culmination event of the year of what we do. I have talked people off ledges. JC Korn, we just brought him up recently. He was lost, he was wandering. And I've seen guys that are in high up places doing, as veterans, they suffer, they hurt. Okay. As a matter of fact, in the middle of the pandemic, some retired colonel who might have flown helicopters once upon a day by the name of Dan Williams came over and talked Murphy off the ledge because I was worried about my business. I was worried about the community. I was worried about everything. And I was having a really bad day when he showed up to come over and help out. But that's what we do as veterans. Okay. And it's most often you will see it's veterans doing things for veterans. In this one case, we have the civilian community doing something for veterans. And I admire the hell out of what Jim Weir has done for the last 20 years. It has always been one of the high points of bringing guys together and networking. It is all about the networking. We know that the most social creatures are the most successful creatures, but we've got to get those guys who are isolating out to be social creatures. And that's why I offer any civilian in the community who brings an isolating veteran to one of my breakfasts that happen on the first Saturday of the month at the Ute. And I do it every first Saturday of the month at the Ute just to get veterans out to network. And any civilian that brings one in, I'll buy them breakfast. I am totally inclusive for everybody in the community because it takes all of us to create the community and do the work that's done. And so, Jim, thanks for what you do. Much appreciated. And I'm looking forward to this being one of the most successful events ever in this community. Of course, it brings me a lot of business. And I had a few words with a couple of people on the farmers market, and I explained to them what I could make not happen if they just cooperate for, a few hours. Because I'm a hell of a community organizer. As a matter of fact, that's what Green Berets are known for. We are community organizers. We go to other countries, we start revolutions, little things like that, and it's a lot of fun. It was great fun. I'd go back and do it again. As a matter of fact, I was honestly thinking about joining back up the Space Force. We had a little saying in the military. Well, in being a Green Beret, you got to carry a lot of weight. Okay. It's like 150, 200 pound rucksack. And we always say 10,000 pounds of lightweight gear still weighs 10,000 pounds, but in space, it weighs nothing at all. I could get along. So, even as an old guy. So City Council, thank you very much. I fully pray and beg for your full support on this. I appreciate everything you guys do for us. And once again, it takes a community to thrive and survive. And being a business owner up here, and I don't know where I really appreciate the kids thinking restaurants are a great thing to have up here. Yeah, one of these days, I'm so looking forward to selling this place for a hamburger, maybe. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Mark.
Commissioner Dan Williams.
Okay.
Ma'am, Mayor Pro Tem, honorable council members, staff, members of the public. I am here in my official capacity as your vice chair of the county commissioners. I am a veteran. I'm proud of that. I'm also a farmer, kind of. I've got 100 acres. I've got a ranch. I got about 35 chickens, a couple of greenhouses with legal product. Tomatoes. Each one of those tomatoes costs my wife about $12 after I pay for electricity. So first thing I want to say is this is not adversarial. You hear from the farmers market. As I brought my dad in tonight, the sheriff and I came over in our capacity. I did see the sign that says farmers market every Friday, 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think we have a divisive choice to make tonight. I think we have an opportunity. As I'm watching great work Sally did and your contractor talking about the comprehensive plan, every one of those slides says what? Resiliency, treating people with respect. We can do a lot. I was here as a kid. My dad first brought me here. It was 1972. There were 800 people in this city, dirt roads. People were a lot different. They were a lot more civil, and we're a lot bigger now. We're a lot more vibrant. We've got a Walmart. We've got goods and services. We don't have to drive down to A Street. So there's a lot of benefit here, but the divisiveness has got to stop. You know, our country has been through a tough time. Our county's been through a tough time. Cripple Creek was driven through its knees, probably more so than this town, because it's a one-horse game with gaming. There's some reasons that they couldn't support the rally. None of those had to do with Jim Ware or bikes or veterans. There's 3 people on council in Cripple Creek that are veterans, or people here that are veterans. So I'd like to first say to the farmers market, you're very welcome here. You've been here 30 years, and Kelly's right. We spent an inordinate amount of time the last 2 months meeting with many of you. I'm sorry it's come to this. This isn't a negative thing. This is a public discourse, and your great leaders in front of you are going to make whatever decisions you make. But essentially what we have here is an event that occurs on Friday from 8 to 1 and a biker rally on Saturday, and some logistics about tear down and setup and some civility. That's called Memorial Park for a reason. I had a close and personal relationship with Neil Levy, who's no longer with us. I had a close and personal relationship with Val, who's no longer with us. And I have a close and personal relationship with most of the people that I'm looking at, and certainly everyone in this room. As your county commissioner and the current board vice, I sit on a number of Colorado ag boards. You know, we just passed some legislation to try to protect the beef industry. So this doesn't have to be divisive at all. We can do both. We're a great city. We're a great county. If we can't do this, we might as well take that comprehensive plan and that vision for the future and say, DDA, stand down. You know, Main Street programs, stand down. Businesses do not come here. We can't figure this out, but we can figure this out. Last thing I'll leave you with is, I remember Dave Buttery in discussions about where Eric Dixon Memorial was going to go. And for those you don't know, Eric Dixon is the only Teller County veteran who died in Vietnam. And his classmates, of which a couple of them were actually in the farmers market, good friends of mine, put a memorial up over where Bergstrom Park is right now. And as you guys know the story, it was vandalized multiple times after Vietnam. And over a subsequent amount of years, it was forgotten. And we built a toilet, a restroom on top of Vietnam Memorial. And so his classmates, who are now my dad's age, late 70s, 80s, put together a lot of money with a lot of people here to include the Veterans Rally, and we put up Eric Dixon. When we put Eric Dixon up in that Memorial Park, that kind of made that a mini Arlington. In fact, I remember Neil saying if we lose other veterans, this would be a place to go. And if you remember, there was controversy. Should it go in Lions Park? Should it go here? I don't know what we signed. I don't know what we agreed to. I know we brought a lot of money. We put some security in there. But I think the thought was always that we could go and pay homage to a Vietnam veteran or a veterans event on occasion without taking anything away from the farmers market. There's nothing wrong with fresh food, and we all like it. Yet I can tell you, I command post 1980 American Legion here. I'm in Andy Tyler's 6051 VFW. We don't do any events in Memorial Park. We do them in Lions Park, and in 2 weeks, we'll be leading a ceremony for Memorial Day at your cemetery out of respect to folks that have died. So if you really take a step back and ask yourself, what is it that we do in Memorial Park for veterans, either by veterans or civilians? And so simply what we're asking for, and I say we, the community, is asking you and the farmers market, and I don't want to be divisive here, is let's not make this divisive. Let's look at that park and say, you know, whether it's an apartheid system or we just kind of separate by time and space, and give the veterans a little bit of access to Eric Dixon's memorial. I'll end with this statement. I brought my dad tonight. My dad's name is on that memorial. He's 78 years old. I saved him from a memory care facility where 10 of his buddies died. He spent 6 days in this hospital and got us through COVID, and then we took him home. He's 78 years old. He suffers from all the things that most older veterans suffer for. You can't defer a memorial or a celebration for a 78-year-old man. Since we dedicated that memorial, 15 of the names on there, including my father-in-law's name and my father, but 15 of those folks have passed. So we can't wait. You know, let's not make a choice. Let's do them both. And I don't want to see the destruction of the farmers market. There's not a lot of ag left in Teller County. We're trying to save it. We do have a right to farm ranch. You guys have been gracious hosts for 30 years. We want that to continue. I personally hold no malice against the farmers market. And I, you know, again, I'm sorry we're here at this point, but I just ask us to not make a choice between the two events, but to try to find some synergy. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
We have Mr. Tim McMillan.
Hello, Council. My name is Timothy McMillan Sr., officially. No pressure on me. My boss is here. How are you? I'm a 911 emergency dispatcher at the Sheriff's Office. I do want to thank Dan for apparently reading my notes, because much of what I was going to share, he actually shared with you. So I appreciate that. But I think I can give you a bit more of a perspective on the Eric B. Dixon Memorial that is in Memorial Park. In 2017, I was reading our local paper and I read an article on the previous memorial that had been vandalized and then removed, and then moved to a different location that was just a small plaque. And it bothered me that the only casualty from the Vietnam War from Teller County was not memorialized in a more prominent and official way. So I reached out to a couple of friends, Elizabeth and Mark Agan, and they then looped in Steve Plute, Steve Flug, and Elijah Murphy. Between the committee, we set out a goal to raise enough funds without taxpayer money at all to construct a proper memorial for Eric Dixon. We did so in a matter of a few months, and I will explain that time was of the essence to get this done, because at the time, Eric Dixon's mother lived in Canyon City, was in her early 90s, was in very difficult health, could not come up to altitude for any length of time, but we wanted to make sure we got this completed in time for her to attend. So it was a bit of a race of time for her, but in addition, it was a race against time for many of Eric Dixon's classmates from Woodland Park High School, because many of them were aged, they were in ill health, and we wanted to get this completed in time for them to attend as well. In fact, if you were there, you might have seen that one actually had to be brought from the Denver Metro in an ambulance so that he could attend the ceremony. We would not have been able to complete that memorial on time, actually ahead of deadline, if it weren't for the rally, because Jim and Pam and Pro Promotions kicked in a check for $2,500 without asking, but would you? They didn't say maybe. They didn't say, let me think about it. In fact, what Jim said was, absolutely, but I can't tell you exactly how much until the rally's over. When the rally was over, a few days later, Jim and his staff delivered that check to us. And without that check, we likely would not have met our deadline to complete this so that his mother and his classmates could see the dedication. This is Memorial Park, and it can be for everybody, and it should be for everybody. It should be for the veterans, and it should be for our community and for the farmers market. I think, however, to have whatever's going on now come to where, once again, our veterans have an event that is to memorialize them canceled would be difficult to square with. We need to support this event, and we need to support the farmers market. I make my salsa with your tomatoes, your onions, and your peppers. So don't do anything. I want to have my salsa. But I just want to tell you that Jim is an avid and unequivocal supporter of veterans, but moreover, it was his contribution that helped us complete that memorial for Eric Dixon, and it's there forever. And it's there forever in part because of Jim and the rally and Pro Promotions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Suzanne's letting me know we don't have anyone else signed up further to speak. So Jim, if you have a presentation that you wanted to wrap up, or if you are
just again asking for, we just need to be able to move forward. We've just been kind of stalled, and we're way behind the curve. We got a lot to do, and we think Pam and I spent about 2 hours up in the park before this meeting, walking around, looking around. It's a perfect spot. It could work so good there. And we can do this without impeding on anybody else. And in fact, if we could just get a little bit of this, they could have a great Friday because we're going to have a lot of people there. And again, it's our intent to provide the best experience for the vets that we can and minimize the negative impact on everybody. And we've been doing it a long time. We know what we're doing. We can do it if we can get some backup.
Well, I think I can speak on behalf of all council up here to say that we 100% support you. We support our veterans. We did receive a letter from Lori Gloth for the farmers market, and I want her to understand that she's heard, even though she's not here. We're not ignoring their concerns. I think that some of it might be out of fear of the unknown, because fear is very controlling for people. And maybe to sort of settle Lori's nerves, Kelly and I are Harley riders. I'm a wife of a veteran. My veteran has never been able to attend the rally because he's been deployed when they've occurred. So, and then the last 2 years he was working overseas. So otherwise we would have been there as well, because I can't ride his bike. It's too big for me. So, and he likes his co-pilot with him. But we support you guys. We hear your concerns. We understand the concerns of the farmers market. A temporary use permit, though, is not ownership of our park. So if the city decides that they want to have 2 events at one time, it can be done. And I think our planner has looked at that. Our manager is looking at it. I understand you have submitted your permit for review. I know that they're going to review it. And if we can be of assistance to either side, we will certainly be of assistance. We will not be a roadblock to this event in any way. So thank you very much for your presentation and your service to our community and to our nation.
Thank you.
And may we make a few comments?
Sure, absolutely.
First, I'd like to start by saying thank you. Tonight has just reaffirmed the amount of patriotism that we have in our community, the support for our veterans, and just the overall mindset towards community involvement and community coming together. The extent to which you have gone to hold your event and accommodate those around you it just speaks to your community mindedness. And it's really uplifting and really just fills the heart to be reminded that we have such a community like this. It's really touching. With that said, again, Hillary summed it up for all of us. Unequivocal support. This rally will happen here. And this council, I think, will do whatever needs to be done to make that happen. I can remember the rally. It's a tradition here. I've watched it for nearly 30 years, the last 15 of which have been sitting on the steps at the bank. I always end up working that weekend. I know I'm working that weekend because I can look and see when the veterans rally is. And we're all shut down. Nobody can get to us. So we go outside and sit on the steps and watch the rally go by. So the fact is, this is a tradition that has to be maintained here. And you have my 100% support that this will be happening no matter what has to happen. So thank you for all the work you're doing. And I really, really appreciate the opportunity that Woodland Park is getting. What ended up not working for Cripple Creek, I think, is just such a treasure for us. And we lucked out to be able to have this opportunity here. I can't wait. Really looking forward to it. So thank you to all of you.
I'd like to also say thank you to all of you. Dan, I'd like to resound the comments that you made. I think it's the message that we've carried all along. This was not a demand of sharing the park. It was an ask, and a very polite and considerate ask for the ability to make both work for our community. It's an opportunity for us to heal. We're being given back our freedom and you guys didn't have to fight for it with guns and stuff. And so we have the opportunity to really heal and come together as a community. And I know the people in this community. I've been here, worked in this community for 24 years. And I know a lot of the people on both sides, not that there's divisiveness, but I know all these people in the farmers market. And I know the biker side. I am one, have been since, I can't count that high, but I know we can make it work. And Dan and I and the sheriff and our police force, our staff have made a commitment and a pledge to do everything we can to make it the best events, both of them, that we've ever seen. And I know Dan stands beside me with that. We've said it, we've met, we've offered everything in the world to be sure that both of these things that are so important to our community happen and happen well. So I too support it. And I just encourage the community to listen to Dan's message, and let's not make this divisive. We have an opportunity. We've been divisive because we've had to be. We've been home, we've been masked, we've been everything for a long, long time. So let's come out of this and let's do a good job and be happy and enjoy and celebrate together. So I'll get off my soapbox now, but I just really think it's important. I think we have to find a way. We have to find it in our heart to support both and everything else that might want to happen that day. And understand, just one more time to clarify, what you see on the video and all those bikes up and down the street, that's Saturday. That's the rally on Saturday. That's after the ride out of here, and they go up and they ride through, and then they come back for the celebration in the park. That's Saturday. The market's over. It's not happening. Friday is an opportunity, is set up for some vendors, and it's the red shirt day where Pam and Jim sell T-shirts to memorialize and for the benefit of the veterans. It's I think there's fear.
We give those T-shirts away.
Oh, I'm sorry. They give away the T-shirts for free. Please correct me. 1,000 of them to support the troops. I was wrong. The rest of it I'm right on, but the T-shirts are free. So get one. And I can tell you, many years going to many rallies all over the country, and bikers are some of the most generous, caring, giving, loving, gentle people you will ever know. And they spend tons of money. So just keep that in mind and don't let the fear mongers misconstrue what this is all about. There's nothing to be fearful of. So I'll shut up now. Hillary, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, you're push. I'm not much of a public speaker. All I can say is at the last rally, I was at Midland and Maple wearing my Teller County Sheriff Posse uniform, waving the traffic, diverting the traffic so the bikers can come through. I will be doing something similar. I don't know which intersection for your rally, but I will be volunteering for that again because yes. Well, Renee's not here, so so that's the first thing. I'm not just a vet. I'm a retiree, 26 years, and my son is active J3 over in Mendenhall. So my family can't support the military enough, in my opinion. So I just got back into town a few hours ago and have stepped into this. I have no earthly idea the full breadth of the issues, but if there's any way possible, we will find a solution so that you have the full support of this council. And that's about all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you all who have spoken on behalf of our vets in this rally. I talked logistics before, but now I want to talk legal. I was always taught if it isn't on paper, it doesn't happen. So I would like to ask us to write a letter to Jim and his board that says we're fully behind this. I have a question for our attorney, and that is, are there any, the way our temporary use permits are, is there any issue here that's, well, before I ask you this question, let me just say this. We as a community have been working at finding a way to unify for a long time. And this is a total godsend in that regard. So I told the city manager this little analogy, and I'll say it the same here. There was two ladies fighting over an orange. So they couldn't figure it out. So they took the orange to the judge, and the judge says, okay, give me the orange. He took it, he cut it in half, and he gave half of the orange to each of the ladies. Happily, one of them scoops out all the pulp and uses it for her cooking. The other one grinds the rind on it and uses that for her cooking. If they had got together, they both would have got twice as much. They both would have got everything they wanted. So with this whole idea of this sharing of space, I would hope as a community we can have events cross-mingling. I mean, that's community 101, business 101, and wow, we want people. This event is going to put Woodland Park on the map in a whole new way, Suzanne, you mind if I share your story about Sturgis?
Oh, yes, Sturgis, sure.
Oh, you share your story, and then I'll ask him the legal question.
Sound like I go to Sturgis. No, I don't. You can share the story.
She's a closet biker. No, so, all right, I'll paraphrase what you told me about it. Sturgis, the community is so excited about the bikers coming for that rally that some of them have them come into their homes to billet. Some rent out their homes to. It's like such a big community event. So I was just saying that if there's people in the community who want to show their support, I'm concerned we're setting a compromise in here that's costing you money on this event. This is already a tight budget in the economy right now. I'd like to see us figure out a way that we can have this happen. Both parties get their part of the orange that they want. And I wanted to ask the attorney about the legal part of that. And I guess that's getting clarified right now. So, yeah. So just a minute. And so, my question for the attorney then is, if we want to make this happen so that this can all happen in a timely and cost-effective way for everyone, is there any legal problem we have with our temporary use permit and how they are implemented?
I don't think so.
So they can co-share. There's no problem. Okay. All right. So then that's my request, that we have a consensus to have the city manager write a letter to them, welcome him, and let him fix his costs. Because if he knows it's going to happen, then that's not going to cause any gray area.
Well, I think the council can write a letter in support. I'm not quite sure the city manager would want to lock himself into a letter like that, but we can certainly provide a letter of support. Sure. And I did want to clarify briefly, we received a letter from Lori. I hope that you have all taken a moment to read it, and it was not just from Lori, it was sent by Lori, but it is from the board of the farmers market as well. So I just wanted to clarify that and let them know that I have read it and I hear their concerns, just because I know they're not here to represent themselves, and I know that they can see us on Zoom, but probably feel like they're not getting a fair shot at participation. So I just want everyone to feel like I'm trying to give a fair shot of participation and understand this topic. And I think I'm quite clear on what the issue is and quite clear on where council stands on it. I know city still has the right to review the permit and make the decision. So, and we will not be forcing anyone's hand in the decision either, but we do support the event. We would like to see the event occur, and hopefully this can be a test run for next year, and we can find all the kinks and get it all worked out and make it a smooth event for next year. So.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh, sure.
Just a question. Have you actually had a chance to review the temporary use permits and how they're written? Yeah, Jeff, to see how they're written and have consulted with the city manager and staff?
I have not.
Okay.
And I would add, we just received the temporary use permit from the rally just earlier this week. We've done an initial cursory review and started discussing some of the conditions that need to be addressed. But we do have it in hand and we're working through that.
And is the current farmers market temporary use permit, does it state geographically they have the entire Memorial Park?
I believe so. Yeah, they have the northwest parking lot here in the entirety of the park. Staff, folks can correct me if I'm mistaken.
The entire park is reserved for the farmers market. However, they don't set all their booths up in the entire space. So we will have to work through the joint use and try to make it work.
Okay, that's what I'm wanting to hear, Sally. Thank you.
And I think that some of the concerns that were addressed in the letter to us from the farmers market, I won't read the letter, but I think that the sheriff has given us his word that he will be there to assist with crowd control, any complaints, to assist our police department. We'll have the sheriff's posse there. I know nobody wants to mess with Rusty. So, and so, you know, I think that some of the fears of a new event, something foreign to them, and something unknown, I think that some of those fears can be appeased by knowing that they have the support of the community and law enforcement. I don't think it's necessary by any means, because you all police yourselves better than anybody in this nation. But so that they understand, we hear their concerns and we are willing to work with them as well to make them feel safe and make their space safe and do what we need to do to get both events up and running at the same time. So, and I think with that said, I believe that we can move on. And if there are further concerns, please reach out to me. Obviously, Councilmember Case is your appointment for this, and as is Dan Williams. But if you need further assistance, any one of us, all of us, we're all here to hear each side and to help all of you. So,
Mayor.
And thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Mayor Pro Tem, can I ask one more question
Sure.
while Jim's here?
Yeah.
If I was a vendor at the farmer's market, I would be wanting to know the sort of expected trade volume on Friday. So, and I'm not holding you to it, but I would think they'd probably want to order more stock. What are you looking at?
So Friday is, as pointed out, Friday's setup day. The people that come on Friday are the people that are here for the weekend. So it's mostly out of state, out of town. So some people come Tuesday to Teller County and stay a whole week. I mean, this is their vacation for the years to come to the Vets Rally. So the people that are here on Friday typically are out of town, out of state, and they're here for the whole weekend. Few thousand people, okay? Couple thousand, 2, 3, 4, something like that, okay? Saturday, Denver, Colorado Springs, Pueblo, Canyon City, West Slope. That's when the people show up. When you see that video, as Kelly pointed out, that's Saturday. So what we're talking about Friday is, easing in, setting up a few tents, staying on the north end of the park, north of the flagpole, not encroaching on the south end until the other event is all packed up and gone away. Then Friday evening, we kind of work in that area and get stuff ready. Friday is all about getting ready for Saturday. However, we do take the opportunity Friday to do the Red Friday t-shirt giveaway. There's a poker run that the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association takes care of. And, we do try to have some things going on. But there will certainly be an influx of tourist people that are here for the rally that love to shop and got money. So it could really be a winner for them
And a lot of folks are going to be riding. I mean, during the daytime, we're out riding.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're going to have this influx of bikes all at the same time. They'll come and go, they'll ride, they'll come in later in the day, they'll eat, they'll, just partake. And I just really think that it's not going to be as overwhelming as folks think it's going to be. I think it's going to be lovely.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for the presentation, and thank you very much for the book as well. We really appreciate that.
We appreciate how much time y'all took. I mean, we were here for like a 15-minute deal. And so, I mean, that means a lot. And we really thank you for all of it. Really.
Thank you. All right. With that, we're going to move on to additions, deletions, corrections to the agenda.
I didn't know if we should wait for the mass exodus.
Sure. Nobody wants to
Thanks
stick
to
around for
everyone
consent
for coming.
calendar.
Yeah, awesome.
Appreciate
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
And thanks for the letter from the farmers market as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
They are not forgotten.
For the Zoom audience, we're just waiting for a moment for a large crowd to leave. We're left with about 5 people.
No, not.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Oh, man, I'm quitting this job. Put me on the spot. That's curling. Us attorneys are like, oh, it's serious.
The first item is the May 6, 2021 regular city council meeting minutes. And the second item is the approval of the March 2021 statement of expenditures.
Very good. Council, are there any questions or comments about items 5A or B?
I just wanted to request, and probably should have been at number 4 rather than a consent calendar, but can we table the March statement of expenditures? I asked Rusty, he just got back into town, if he had an opportunity to look at them. I honestly have not had an opportunity to look at it.
Sure.
Neither has Stephanie. So do you mind? Is that okay if we just table it till
Yeah.
next? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. We can table the March 2021?
Yeah.
Make a
Thanks.
motion.
Yeah.
We need a motion
motion.
because we have to table it to a date certain. So the motion will have to table it to,
June 3rd.
correct.
Okay, I'll make a motion to table the approval of the March 2021 statement of expenditures and authorize the mayor to sign warrants and payments thereof until June 3rd council meeting.
Correct. Second. Thank you. Case?
Yes.
Labar?
Yes.
Neal?
Yes.
Zulawaga?
Yes.
Alfieri?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. We need a motion now for approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar minus item 5B that was tabled.
I'll second the motion.
Labar?
Yes.
Neal?
Yes.
Zulawaga?
Yes.
Alfieri?
Yes.
Case?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
All right, next item on the agenda is public comment on items not on the agenda.
Yes, ma'am. The first person signed up is Colt Simmons, the county assessor.
Very good.
For this year, the number one. You spoke.
You're
You were
number
number
one.
two. You were number two before.
You moved up in the spot.
Yeah, I feel like Rodney Dangerfield sometimes. We get no respect as assessors.
Oh, let me end this out.
That's my job. I'm sorry. It's a long night. Well, seeing that you guys have, I think, 12 items on your schedule tonight, I'm going to follow Mark Salusta's philosophy, my fellow elected official who's our treasurer. Be on time, be brief, and be gone. So for your reading pleasure, I have a handout for you. When I took this job 2 years ago, I promised transparency and information for the public and for the city councils we work with and the councils. So what we've done is we've done 4 presentations in the last month, what we call Taylor County Assessor Listens. And actually we have a number of presentations more this year. But for tonight, I'm just going to focus on Woodland Park. You can't hear me good? Really?
No, we can.
Yeah, they can.
I'll put in my command voice, 30 years in the Air Force. So what I wanted to do is give you all a personal copy of our presentation. There's a lot of data there. Now, our assessor's office deals with facts. We deal with pure facts and information. And what I wanted to provide you there was not just the slides, but some of you also have a second copy of our abstract. I was here 3 months ago. I gave everybody here a copy of the abstract. I wanted to make sure you have that. And if you'll see, look in the abstract, you'll see about a third of the way down, maybe a quarter of the way down, levies and revenues. So right now we're projecting 2.1 million plus $6,000 for Woodland Park right there on cities and town levies set by city councils. Your valuation was $133,726,790. Your mill levy is 15.750. What does that mean in plain English? It means you're going to approximately receive a check for 2.1 million. What I wanted to do, and I'm going to limit myself to 3 minutes. I'm about a minute away from that, unless you want to do Q&A. And I'd like to come back next month because I know you guys have a long night and I respect your time and efforts. If you look at the slide I have there on preliminary numbers for Woodland Park, and by the way, can you all hear me okay? Am I speaking loud enough?
You're good.
Thank you. If you look there about 2/3 of the way back, please, maybe actually 75% of the way back where it says Woodland Park, Sunnywood Manor, I think you all know where that is. We had 60 qualified cells there. Let me know when you find that slide, because I think it's probably more key to you all. Are we good to go?
Yeah.
I think Stephanie's found it.
I think so.
You know, it's always the bankers who are the quickest on this kind of stuff. They know how to count the money.
Probably 5 pages or something.
Are we good, Rusty? Did you find it? So we have 5 cities there. You got the Florissant area, Victor, Cripple Creek.
Gotcha.
Okay, good. So if you look at Sunnywood Manor subdivision, 60 qualified cells from June 30th of 2018, the median time adjusted sale price there was $379,964 in 2018. Now the state deadline for us is June 30th of 2020. So that's a 2-year period. And I know Kelly Case, you're a realtor. You understand, you've seen a lot of this. All of you have seen what's going on here. Look at that difference, $413,735. That is an 11% increase here. Okay, that's huge. Your market medium sell change of 10.74. I am not telling you guys anything new here, okay? And what realtors are looking for is more inventory, okay? And builders are building good properties as fast as they can. But I just wanted to give you an insight to what's going on in the marketplace. And you already know this, okay? We're right next to one of the biggest marketplaces in Colorado and the US with El Paso County. El Paso County is closing in on 750,000 people. We're approximately 27,000 here in Teller County. El Paso County is projected in the next 10 years to be at nearly 1 million people, okay? It'll be interesting to see what Teller County is going to be at, particularly Woodland Park. All I'm here to do is give you some insights in what the assessor's office does, what your assessor's office does, and what we don't do. We value properties. We do not collect taxes. That is the treasurer's job. So next January, people will we'll get a notice from the treasurer's office. I'm going over my 3 minutes. I'd like to come back in July, since it's going to be a long night for you all, to go over this. I'll take 5 minutes in July if that's okay, and to respect your time. But is there any quick question for tonight before I come back here in, well, this is May. I'll come back in June. What am I saying, July? I'll come back in June. My bad. I'm over 60 now, so forgive me. Any quick questions before I come back in June?
Council, any questions, comments?
Just do you like hot milk before you retire? No, I'm sorry. Thank you. This is great.
A lot of data there for you, sir. And for the public at large, those on Zoom and those in the community, please go to the Teller County website, okay? And you can look at this PowerPoint briefing right there on the front page. And it's also on the Teller County Assessor's website. And if you have any questions, our phone number is on there too. So the Teller County Assessor's Office, we serve you. We're 100% transparent. And we are a service-oriented office. We have great staff, great people, and we appreciate anything. Any last questions or comments, ladies and gentlemen?
I actually have a serious one, and that is last time the assessor, I thought our values went up about, what, 30% or something in Woodland Park, is that right?
I don't have those exact data, but in the last cycle prior to this one, values were ranging anywhere from a low of 8% up to almost 40% in the Florissant area.
Oh, no, I'm firstly, I was
But
just
Woodland
speaking
Park,
about
I don't have
Woodland Park.
those exact numbers. Well, if you look at it right now, look at Sunnywood Manor, well, you're talking the previous cycle, right, Robert? From 2016 to 2018.
Where I was going with that point was this. That last cycle, we saw a huge spike in our prices.
Absolutely.
But what I'm noticing, not only from our prior conversation, but from some of what I'm seeing here for the other cities in Teller County's now having, we're more stable. I mean, yeah, 11% is a lot, but
yes, sir.
The other counties, Florissant's like, what did I see? 23, Cripple Creek, 23.
Look at Victor. You see what Victor's at? 28%.
28%.
That's huge.
My question about that is, what's that telling you about our countywide and Woodland Park place?
Here's the thing. When we took office 2 years ago, we had, as we would say in the South, some fixing to do. My predecessor did a great job, but we still had some fixing to do. And I have a reputation of being a hired gun to fix things, whether it's in the business world, the military world as a lieutenant colonel, or here in this job. So, and we've had Rusty over to the office some years ago, and some of you all have been on over. So we have a reputation in my office, quite honestly, of being very, very, very good. We've been fixing the office and addressing a lot of issues, which have been, over the last 20 years. But we're not going to leave anything to our predecessors. This is one class act office. So yes, there was issues prior. The rates went up a lot more. Right now, we're just reflecting where the marketplace is right now, to be honest with you. I'll tell you what, when I come back in June, I will have those specific numbers for Woodland Park. I promise you that. Absolutely. And I can have it to the penny. That's how good we are. Ms. Case, any questions, ma'am? It's a real privilege working with you all. Rusty?
No, I just wanted to confirm that what we have in the packet is just a single neighborhood. So it's just a sample
for Woodland Park.
For Woodland Park.
And there's 5, you'll see on that 5 different, you got Victor there, Cripple Creek, Florissant, right.
And I have a quick question. Is this Sunnywood city limits? Okay, so this is outside of our city limits.
Filings 1 through.
Thank you.
Filings 1 through 4 in Sunnywood are outside city.
Right
Filing
outside.
5 is inside.
Right.
You can kind of tell by the paved streets.
And what we have there,
This might be a mixture of
fair-
in limits and out
to
of
be fair,
limits.
it's right there online. And to be fair, you had 60 qualified cells there. So that was our site picture for our presentation.
Okay.
Yeah. That was a site picture we wanted to give.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Anything else I can come back to for next month that might be of interest to y'all?
Just getting the city limit, your stats for Woodland Park city limits versus.
That is the stats for the city limits. The picture's just a sample.
Oh, perhaps I misunderstood
Yeah,
them.
I
So
misunderstood
the
that too.
Sunnywood Manor is within city limits.
Well, I think sometimes
Sorry.
we run into these issues with mailing address
Right.
versus whether or not you're really inside the boundaries of the city. So
But for,
I'll just
for,
leave
the-
it at that.
for our
Maybe.
purposes, for the site picture, for the public at large in the county,
Yeah.
this, you had 60 qualified cells there. That's a lot of cells. And to restate that median time adjusted price last year, June 30th, was $413,735, almost a year ago.
Yeah.
So on this presentation, we're trying to give a site picture for the communities where people are at. And that's a pretty good site picture for the Woodland Park market. And that's a year ago. That doesn't reflect today.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll come back next month and we'll have a little more in-depth discussion. Yeah.
So you asked about additional information for next
Sure.
month. Call me a glutton for punishment, but I would love some more updated information on Gallagher Amendment and how that's
Oh, that's
affecting us.
easy. Would
Not
it be-
necessarily right
would-
now.
Would you all
but-
prefer me to come to a working group? Would that be to start off also?
If I could make a suggestion, I think that Mr. Simmons should come back as an agenda item rather than public comments not on the agenda. And so if you can tell us what meeting you'd like to come to, I'll put you on the agenda. You can do a presentation. It can be interactive.
You bet. And I'm also happy to come back for a working group. I'm happy to do both. Absolutely.
That's
I'll-
up to council.
Sure, why don't we start with an item on agenda and you can let Suzanne know a time that's convenient for you, for council. And then if we need further information from there, we can do a work session.
That'd be wonderful. And again, this abstract that you have before you gives you a great site picture for you and your constituents on where we are at on assessment, both sides on the taxing districts, your levies, your revenues, what we do and what we don't do. We just value properties. I want to say thank you. And I'll see you all next month. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Colt.
Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, I have via Zoom, I have Mr. Cameron Wingers has submitted a public comment request earlier this
Okay.
afternoon.
Sure. Do you need me to bring him in?
Rob? Cameron Wingers,
I found him.
thank you.
All right.
Hi,
Cameron?
can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you. And I would have been there in person had I known it would have been as open a forum due to COVID, so my apologies. My question is essentially to the entire city council, because I believe I included all the members as well as Susan in an email approximately the 24th on a mayoral position. I had sent a letter of interest as well as a resume to the entire, to Suzanne. And I might say, I will add, I live approximately, if I'm not mistaken, I may be a little off, but the latest map of Woodland Park, I think I'm about a quarter to a half a mile outside the city limits. If that is the constraint for the mayoral position, I request that be revisited. I had also, I think it was Stephanie, I had also left you a voicemail, and I had not heard back from anyone as of yet. And so what I would first like to ask is to confirm that you all have received my letter of interest and resume.
Yes, we have. I have, Cameron. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I believe Suzanne forwarded it to all of us.
Correct.
Okay. Sure. Okay. If I may ask, what is the next steps for the mayoral position of Woodland Park for a permanent position going forward? Realizing I understand the election cycle is soon becoming upon us. I don't want to campaign over Zoom, but I have a high level of confidence understanding the city limit guideline, if in fact that is a constraint. And again, I want to stress, living a quarter to a half a mile outside the latest map of city limits, of the latest map that I have seen, boy, that's awfully close. That's awfully close. If there is no consideration of that, then okay, I understand. And I obviously want to abide by the guidelines. But my question is, number one, is there any future consideration going forward on a permanent mayoral position? And number two, if my qualifications, which I'm fairly confident that based on my background in the business sector, both in the government, as well as my background with the military in Colorado Springs, Air Force Space Command and Department of Defense, and the company I currently work for, which is a global company. And I deal with global organizations in the billions of dollars. So I do believe that I'll just say my background would be looked upon favorably. And if there's any consideration in the near future, if so, what process is going to take place to fill that position, since I am aware, apparently during the last review, none of the candidates were acceptable.
So, Mr. Winger, I'll go ahead and touch base on these two questions.
Sure.
One, I think I can say with confidence, as of now, there will not be another attempt to appoint a mayor until the April 2022 election.
Okay.
The other thing I can say is it's close, but no cigar. If you are not within city limits, the only way that we could have you be able to run is for the city to annex the neighborhood you live in. And that is highly improbable at the moment. But I will also allow our city attorney to just touch base on that legally to verify that we are correct.
That is correct. Yeah. The charter section 3.4 requires 1 year of residence prior to appointment.
And, yeah, within the city limits. Yeah. So I know that that's frustrating because it's a hop, skip, and a jump away, but unfortunately, that is the rule of our charter.
And a charter change requires a vote of the citizens.
Yes.
And Mayor Pro Tem, that's how we decide who receives ballots for the election, are the residents that live within the city limits.
Right.
So Mr. Wingers wouldn't even get a ballot for our election.
But I did. And I voted. So.
Well, was that a national ballot or just a city ballot?
No, it was a city ballot.
For Teller County. So, because there's Teller County ballots.
That was probably the November, yeah.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, understood. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. Thank you for that clarity. I do appreciate it.
Sure. I'm sorry I didn't reply to you sooner in an email with the information as well, but thank you very much for participating at council.
Sure.
And I hope that we at least satisfactorily answered your questions for the time being.
The other thing I do like to add is to Mr. Wingers, there are other committees that you do not have to be a resident of the city of Woodland Park. You do not have to live in the city limits that you can be members of. And I would welcome the opportunity to go over those different boards and commissions that we have available that you can serve on if you'd like.
Okay, yes. And who's speaking, please?
This is Suzanne.
Oh, hi, Suzanne. Okay. Well, yes, thank you for that feedback. I will get in touch with you to go through what those positions may be, because I do believe I could add significant value to Woodland Park. So thank you for that. I will get in touch with you.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you, very
welcome.
much, Mr. Wieners.
Thank you.
No other public comment, ma'am.
All right, it is 9:03 p.m. So it is time for council to take a break. How long does everyone need? 10 minutes. All right, we'll resume at 9:14. Council, any questions or comments you'd like to make? Yes. I know I'd like to start by asking, I believe Cripple Creek has donated and the city of Victor have donated. And could you let us know what that amount is?
To my knowledge, I believe that Cripple Creek and Victor have both donated $1,000 each. Is that correct, sir? Okay. 2,500 Cripple Creek, 1,000 Victor.
Okay.
Is the donations. And then Mr. Rob said some in-kind work.
Okay, great. Council.
I'll start.
Go ahead.
So I appreciate your presentation. It's a more than worthwhile project, and I'm really, really happy to see that it's coming to Teller County. I mean, tonight's been all about veterans, and yet I would say there's still no end to what we can do to honor them. With that said, I am one that always tends to err on the side of caution when spending taxpayer money for nonprofit work and projects. I would encourage all of my council members and citizens to support this project, and I personally am happy to make a contribution to the project as well of my own funds. But I just can't, from a principled standpoint, be in support of spending taxpayer money and expending taxpayer money on behalf of them for something that some may or may not support. They all should. They all absolutely should. But it just on a principled basis, I don't want to take it upon myself to spend that taxpayer money on their behalf, but I would wholeheartedly encourage all of them to consider donating to this worthwhile project, whether it is $10, $100, $1,000. I would encourage them all to do that if they so choose and feel the need to. And I am happy and will get you a donation myself. Thank you very much, regardless of what we decide up here tonight.
Any further comments?
Just a question. The funds would have to come out of the city council's budget line, correct?
Yes, we have about $17,000 in that unspent right now.
And we started
is that
with,
right?
Yeah, that's right.
and what did we start with at the beginning of the year?
17,000.
So
We haven't spent a dime.
you spent less than $100 so far.
Okay.
Kelly.
Thank you. I just like to point something out. We just had a very long, like 45 minutes or more discussion with a lot of veterans in the room and supporters of the bike rally, and a very overwhelming support and backing by this council for that event. And there will be a number of taxpayer dollars spent in bringing that event to this community in the form of police forces, barricades. It's in kind, it's not writing a check of contribution, but the taxpayer monies will be supporting that event. So I find that to be interesting after that conversation. So I don't know if any of the other council has anything to say, but we can have further discussion. I'd like to make a motion that we allocate.
Discussion before you do a motion.
We can have discussion even after I make a motion.
Would you mind if I just have a discussion before you make a motion?
I don't mind at all. Thank you.
Did you have you finished asking me questions?
I was done at that point.
Okay. So firstly, thank you very much for what you're doing for the veterans in Teller County and creating a memorial for all of our veterans. I, as a member of this council, am committed to the city of Woodland Park to get us out of debt. We have overspent on public projects which the community decided they wanted. One of the things we've done close at hand with one of our own nonprofits, Main Street, is we took a difficult decision in our last budget to trim their budget and encourage them to stand on their own. So there's all sorts of good causes, and obviously the veterans is very clear to our community, a very important project. My concern is a story that comes out of our founding that I'll recount to give you an example of how seriously I take this. Davy Crockett, famous American patriot, was walking through the farms in his local community and looking to get reelected. And a farmer, he waves at this farmer, and a farmer's chewing on a piece of straw, and he just nods. He says, "Do you know who I am?" He says, "Yes, I know who you are, Mr. Crockett." He says, "I'm asking you to vote for me again." He says, "Sir," and I might get the story a little bit, not exact, but I'll give you the essence of it. He said, "Sir, I cannot vote for you." He says, "Why? What have I done?" He says, and it was like something like one of the wives of one of the military heroes or something like that had her house burned down or something like that. And so Congress had chosen to pitch in $50,000 or some amount of money to restore her home. He said, "You have charge of the public purse. Your responsibility is to account for the public purse. I'm not saying it's not a worthy cause, but that isn't the responsibility of government. That's the responsibility of the citizens." So as a private individual, I'm happy to write you a check and will. But as far as a public official, the difference that I see between the discussions we just had about the Veterans Rally is that that is a private enterprise coming in and stimulating our economy in respect for our veterans. And that is a return on our tax dollar, and we will see an increase in sales tax, residential, what do you call it? Lodging tax. So that's a responsible decision to make for the community. Now, how much, you told us last time, and forgive me, you have a shortfall of how much to complete your project?
Well, we're pretty close for our financial goals, so we think we've collected so far about $33,000, and our goal was $35,000, so we're very close. So it's, we still have donations coming in from other sources.
Right.
Anyway,
so
we just thought we were hoping that the city, Woodland Park would donate because there are names on the wall, of veterans, and this is World War II. It's not all wars. This is World War II veterans.
Sure.
From Teller County. So
Well,
we were just hoping that I actually came down. I was thinking maybe I misread but I was thinking you had already allocated. And so I was thinking we were going to have a check waiting for us here when we got here this evening. So.
No, but what my call is to all residents of Woodland Park is, so we have a $3,000 shortfall. I'm inviting our residents to each chip in a amount of money. Who would they make this check out to?
I thought we left that with you. We leave that information. I hope we did because I didn't bring it with me this evening. But I was thinking we left.
We can provide that.
Yeah, Southern Teller County Focus Group, and then we also have a GoFundMe page.
Southern Teller County Focus Group.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's your nonprofit?
Right.
Okay. So Teller County Southern Focus Group, and is there a post office box, or do we just send it to our city clerk and they get it to you? What's the best?
There is a post office box. So.
I think we do have a letter from Mr. Rob upstairs in either the city manager's office or my office that has this information on it that we can find for council.
Okay. So then in summary, to my fellow council members, I am absolutely in support of your wall in a personal capacity. And I would like to encourage our residents to show that support in a personal capacity. So.
Wish we could have mentioned all the veterans were here.
Yeah, that's true. And just for the record, I would like to say that it does say on the agenda that the council's to consider allocation. It's not approve. It says consider.
Right.
And when I did write Mr. Rob, I said that it was a consideration. The council was taking it up. I didn't say that it was something guaranteed.
Okay, maybe you just misunderstood the email. So that was.
So I'm just going to say I don't tit for tat with veterans. We're going to do the rally. I support funding the wall. I would elect $1,000 for the wall if I have consensus with any council members. I know that I understand your stance with taxpayer dollars. The government put them at war, though. The government can honor them by the taxpayers' dollars as well, as far as I'm concerned. So
I appreciate that very much.
That's my stance. Council can recommend another dollar amount if they'd like, but that's where I am.
How many nonprofits do we actually provide funding for? Or special?
We used to have a special designated
Community
fund
investment
for
fund.
them. We decided that it wasn't appropriate for council to determine charity, what charities got taxpayer dollars. We could look at it on a case-to-case basis, but having a fund in place that guaranteed money, we felt was inappropriate. So we don't have that fund anymore. We can consider things on a case-to-case basis should we decide, though. So.
But how many do we know in our budget right now? Kelly, you may know that.
Well, I know of a few things. There are events that we support from an in-kind perspective in regards to staffing, police safety, traffic, all those things that it takes to put on and support an event. One of them being the Symphony Above the Clouds. I'm not sure about the car show, but I know the car show gives back.
One of them is the lighter side of Christmas
Lighter side
parade.
of Christmas parade and such. And so now the rally. And so there's things that happen from time to time that take city resources to enforce, or to provide safety and protection for traffic, shutting down roads, things like that. And so there are several events that are important to the community that we support from an in-kind and staffing perspective.
And did I remember correctly, or am I remembering correctly, that 35% of Woodland Park is veterans? Is that what I heard tonight?
Yeah.
So I would, you brought up a good point, Kelly, that almost all of that, with I think the exception of Main Street, is in kind. Perhaps there's an option for us to be able to support this in kind the way we do the other nonprofits and charities that we choose to support. Keeping in mind that the expense for those is already allocated within our budget, and it's not separated for each event or each organization. We accommodate for the excess overtime for parks and grounds crews at the park when it's used, at the police department. So that's already incorporated within our expenses of the budget. And certainly if there's a way for us to provide in-kind services like we do for those other events, that would be very agreeable to me.
Well, it is in Victor, so we aren't in Victor.
Exactly. And I'm not seeing a clear option, but that's where I get stuck, is writing a check, again, picking and choosing those nonprofits that we donate taxpayer money to, versus being a good community partner and helping some of those events and organizations through in-kind services that more than likely would be expensed anyways, given the fact that they're already accounted for in our budget.
So the $17,000 that belongs to council is already accounted for in our budget to spend at our discretion. It does not go back to the taxpayers. So it will either sit in that account and nothing will be done, or we can choose to give $100, $500, or $1,000 to a charity of our choice should we decide. It is nearly the same as in kind in the fact that it is also budgeted although $1,000 is very insignificant compared to the in-kind taxpayer dollars that are spent for these rallies and events.
Well, unfortunately, you're getting into a much bigger issue that I don't think council should need a budget anyways, and that money should go back to the taxpayers through reduced taxes to begin with. That doesn't change my principle that taking an extra $17,000 from the taxpayers then means it's okay to spend that money on their behalf, picking and choosing certain nonprofits and who the government wants to support or not support with everyone's money.
And I guess the parallel thought to that is if we remove the community investment fund, if we remove that from our budget.
It has been removed. Yeah.
Well,
it's not funded.
It is not.
Is it right.
Correct.
So
the $17,000 that I'm talking about is our discretionary budget to either buy pizza, soda, pop, balloons, popcorn.
Go to CML,
whatever
education.
we want. Yeah. So it's a choice of how we spend it if we spend it. If we don't spend it, it doesn't go away. It doesn't go back to the taxpayers.
It goes into fund balance.
That money can certainly go towards paying down the debt. If we don't spend it, it can go. Is that correct?
It's lapsed and it goes to fund balance for the general fund.
Correct.
The unreserved fund balance.
Yeah. So I don't feel like I don't feel like I have the freedom to say, well, we got this money here, we'll use it. I mean, I think that's one of the things I object to in government period is like, we have to spend everything we get, so we have another budget next year, instead of being in a business, you don't do that. You say that. There's no part of me that's saying I don't support what you're doing, right? It's just how this is done, and it sets a precedent, and there's a whole bunch of nonprofit desires which will come before this council to make these sort of determinations. And to my mind, we've already set a tone this year to say, you know what, we're going to pay off our debt. We're going to be fiscally responsible, and charities need to step up and private citizens need to step up to fill these needs. And so, but we're going to, you can propose whatever you're going to propose, and it's going to go the way it's going to go. So
sure. And I agree with you principally. I'm the council member who asked for the charity fund to be abolished. Because I thought it was inappropriate.
Yep. Okay.
I thought that a promise to charities of taxpayer dollars was inappropriate.
Right.
But I believe that on a case-by-case basis, it is something council may consider. And it is something I will rarely consider. But I feel that because we are in such agreement about the Veterans Rally, and it will be a phenomenal fee to this city, whether you label it as in-kind or not, it is taxpayer dollars at a phenomenal fee that will also be Teller County taxpayers and Victor and Cripple Creek. It is not just Woodland Park, but Cripple Creek and Victor have already been kind enough to donate to this wall, to the memorial, for citizens of our community who will be on that wall, and their families can go and visit it. And so for me personally, and it's my personal opinion, I feel that it is a worthy cause to donate out of our council budget too. And it is all right if you all disagree with me. So
I would just like to point out something that was said that is purely, absolutely not what happens. Just because someone doesn't spend their budget doesn't mean that it goes away. And if they spend a line item in the budget that we get guaranteed that we get it back the next year, that is such an overstatement and never happens. And it's something that's said out there in public and has been for years. And that is not the way this council or this budget operates. I've prepared that for 17 years, and I can guarantee you that is not the case. Now, the next thing I'd like to say is that I would like to make a motion that we provide funding to this memorial wall in Victor to represent the World War II veterans of Teller County that served. And I would like to just try and see what the council says to providing $2,500 to this organization.
Can we get a second? I'll second.
Further discussion?
Certainly.
Could you go over your numbers again, please? Where are you on your?
We're at about $32,000 on meeting our financial goal of 35,000. So we're really close.
And what did you?
I said 2,500 and that's up to negotiation. I just started there as to move towards a resolution.
Mayor, would you like me to call the vote?
Rusty, was there any further discussion on your part?
No, just I'm going to make a comment. These men gave their life for their country.
Yeah, my dad was in Pearl Harbor. He was a Pearl Harbor survivor. And he and my two uncles are on that wall.
My grandfather was a motor machinist in World War II. So I know I don't look it, but I was born late to my family.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just think it's, like I said, and if it was just Cripple Creek and Victor, but it's all of Teller County out there.
Right.
You know, and hopefully, I mean, Woodland Park wasn't all that big back during the war, but I know there's some names, and we'll provide those names. We'll come up with it, you know, what veterans from Woodland Park are on the walls.
Right.
Then I also wanted to mention that we're going to have our dedication on July 18th at 9 a.m., which is a Sunday morning. We're going to dedicate the wall on July 18th. We were hoping for Memorial Day, but unfortunately, the guy that's doing the foundation, he got hung up down in New Mexico, and so we had to delay until, and that's during Gold Rush Days, the annual celebration there.
You said 9 a.m.?
Yeah, 9 a.m.
Thank
on
you.
July 18th. So everybody is certainly welcome.
And what's the location?
It's Wallace Park, downtown Victor.
Thank you.
And you all saw a photograph of the wall, what it's going to look like. That it's more of a, when we say a wall, it's a triangular shaped memorial. And it's going to be permanent. It was on the names were painted on the side of the building there in Victor, and the gentleman who bought that building decided to paint over the names. So,
Right.
So that's where this all came about.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that Stephanie and Rob are my fellow
You're
council
fine.
members. I love your principle. I really do. But in this particular case, I have to probably buck the principle because people gave their lives, and it's the ultimate sacrifice that they gave. 35% of our residents are veterans. So this is one of those where I think, what would our citizens say?
Oh,
I want you to stand on the principles. And we can't go into what we talked about in executive session, but I think your principles have come across loud and clear, and I respect that. I really do. Normally, I would probably on a nonprofit agree with you, but I think I know how I'm going to vote.
And two comments. I appreciate that. Yeah. And fortunately, I will always have to side with my principal, no matter how much I'd like to do something else. And I'm very happy to be overridden on this decision by my fellow council members. It sounds like I don't want to speak too early. We'll get you a check, but you're not leaving without a check tonight either. So please don't forget to get that. I would mention one thing though, looking at the budget as far as how the money in our elected officials budget is allocated. Line item by line item, there is only $500 listed under special projects, which is where this would come from. So there would need to be an adjustment within the other line items of our elected officials budget to allow for this.
Just know that the legal level of a budget is at the fund level.
Exactly.
And may I finish? And that particularly within a department, those things can be reclassified without an actual appropriation because the appropriation is there. And that's just a management tool. So.
And I'm not suggesting that we need an appropriation. I'm just saying that obviously the other budgeted amounts within the other line items will need to be adjusted as well.
So, and I had in mind the operating expenditures miscellaneous. I recall something of our budget process last fall where there was a number of different factors that were meant to be combined into that. I'm not sure what special projects is really intended for. I mean, you could spend it out of there, but yeah, you would, as long as you balance at the fund level, yeah, that's usually how it works.
So last point of discussion, I do want you to know I am very much in gratitude to the U.S. Armed Forces in World War II. My father was in Japanese-occupied Philippines during the Second World War. He was a paymaster. He was too young to be served, but he was a paymaster for the American Army. And he tells stories of crawling under enemy lines, stealing bags of rice for his family, watching his family being removed out of the house and the house torched, watching his neighbors' homes being torched with people in them. So I'm very grateful. The principle that brought my father to the shores of the United States is that principle of freedom and independence. So whether this council has their way to have public funds given, you have my commitment to my personal funds.
Well, thank you very much. It was, like I said, my dad being in Pearl Harbor, it was tough. It was really, so those guys, they sacrificed.
They did. They did.
So, but whatever you all decide, we really appreciate your kindness and generosity. It'll help us complete our, we don't want to fall short on the funds to complete the project, so we really do appreciate whatever decision you make. So I have a brother, Rusty. So you're a good man, Rusty.
One last comment here before we do our vote. Stephanie had mentioned in-kind. So as you finish up this, you said you had a contractor who's been delayed or whatever. What sort of in-kind will help you get this project finished on time?
Well, the city of Victor, they were going to just offer whatever they need. They had to move the sprinkler system for us, and they did that free of charge, although it cost them a substantial amount of money to just relocate that sprinkler system because there's grass there and all. And so, and then they were going to help us with whatever as far as the foundation goes, all of that. So that was what the city of Victor was going to do. And then, like I say, the city of Cripple Creek, they donated $2,500.
Okay.
Suzanne, I believe we have a motion and a second, so if you'd like to call the vote.
Yes, and I'll just repeat the motion for the record. The motion on the table is the allocation of $2,500 towards the funds of the World War II Memorial Wall in Victor. Neil?
Yes.
Zulawaga?
No.
Alfieri?
No.
Case?
Yes.
Labar?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 3-2.
Thank you, sir.
We will get you a check.
Yeah, I think if you need the mailing information, any information.
I'll be in touch.
All right, but I'm pretty sure Sue gave that to you the last time. So.
Yes.
Suzanne had Sue and I married last time around. But she's just a cohort.
I introduced them as husband and wife, and they weren't married. But they are now. No.
It left us speechless, so I apologize because we were fairly speechless after. No, anyway, but we had a good laugh over that. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening. Get some rest.
Someday.
So on agenda, we're moving on to item number 8, ordinances on initial postings. We have none. So we're going to move on to 9A. And I believe Laura's been ready as ever.
Now you can go, Laura.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Labar. This item is zoning application number 2021-05. It's an application to rezone. I wonder if, Rob, if you could post the presentation and if you could put it on the screen as well for the council members to look at. This is the Grove at Spruce Haven. It is a request by Hop Tree Development LLC, Joe Kent, Aaron Obering, who are the applicants and who are here tonight sitting behind me, as is Peter Obering and Steve Johnson. So they have patiently waited for their chance to speak, and if you have any questions, they will be more than happy to answer. This is a property owned by Diane K. Dunlap Kremer Trust. Bradley Filson is the property owner.
Okay.
It's a request to rezone 1.71 acres from community commercial, the CC zone district, to multifamily residential suburban MFS. It is the part of the west half of the northwest quarter of Section 24, Township 12 South, Range 69, also known as a portion of the Cowitz Tracts. So in reading that long, lengthy legal description, you'll notice that it is an unplatted tract of land. Its address is 920 Spruce Haven Drive. This is a quasi-judicial case before you. The Planning Commission had a public hearing on April 22nd, 2021. The first reading of the ordinance was on May 6, 2021, before this City Council. And tonight we're here for the public hearing, May 20th, 2021. The site is located just north of Highway 24, just past the intersection of 67 on the west side of 67, just north of Tractor Supply. Here is an aerial photo of the site. So this is Tractor Supply on the other side of Spruce Haven Drive, and this is Highway 67 going north-south. Tractor Supply is here. Just north of it is this vacant 1.71 acres of land in an L shape. You'll see some of the uses around it. I've identified, for instance, Fred's Towing is immediately to the east. There are single-family residences to the north and to the west, a couple of them to the west, and then Coraline Street here further to the west. And this shows you just a greater, bigger scale aerial photo of the area. This is the tract of land that is 1.71 acres. And again, here is Tractor Supply. This gives you an idea of some of the dimensions surrounding this site. So for instance, it's about 210 feet along the north boundary, goes down 146 feet and 150 feet to the east, and 97 feet here going south to the Spruce Haven Drive. One of the general characteristics of the site is, first of all, that there's not a lot of vegetation there, but there are some wonderful stands of aspen and some beautiful older pine trees that exist along the northern boundary. The entire site is a little bit of a bowl, and it all drains down to this corner, approximately 8,600 feet in elevation. This corner is the northeast corner of one of the northeast corners of the site. There is an existing water main under Spruce Haven Drive that goes partially along the underneath the road, and the applicants would have to connect to this existing water main and possibly even extend it a small portion. Once the connection is made to the existing water main, and it will all depend on the design that they come up with, it could just be a service line that comes in here. That will come further. So right now we're just considering the rezoning. There's also an existing sewer main underneath Spruce Haven Drive. So what this tells you is that there is available water and sewer to service the proposed rezoning for this proposed development. This is a zoning map. The site is shown here, identified by a red star. The zoning map shows that it is currently zone CC, which is that fuchsia pink color. And you can see that the CC, Community Commercial Zone District, goes to the east and then all the way north along 67. Tractor Supply to the south is zoned service commercial. And then you can see all around it is residential, higher density and lower density single-family residential zone districts. These are a few images. This is an image standing from about the middle of the site, standing right on Spruce Haven Drive, looking towards Highway 67 to the east. So we are looking over the site, so it gives you a pretty good idea of what the site looks like. And we're looking towards Fred's Towing and their fence along that towing yard. This image down here further below is standing in the same spot, looking right through the site to the north. And you can see some of the residences and some of the existing trees that exist on this site. And you can also see some of the gentle slopes that will pull the water to that low point. This is standing in the same spot on Spruce Haven Drive, looking west this time, looking northwest. So this is looking over the site and over the single-family residences that exist on that perimeter. So typically when we have a rezoning application, we take a look at the existing zone district, which in this case is community commercial, and we also look at what they're proposing, which is multifamily residential, multifamily suburban residential. And we do a comparison of what the differences are. And that's what this table was in the staff report that was distributed to all of you. One of the main differences is the purpose of the zone district. So community commercial, as it's titled, is a commercial zone district. It's for the purpose of general retail, office, community service businesses. The main purpose of a multifamily residential suburban zone district is residential. And it is a maximum density of 8 attached dwelling units per acre. So with that density and with the acreage at 1.71 acres, the maximum number of dwelling units they could put on this site are 13. One thing that you'll notice that is similar between community commercial and multifamily suburban residential is that multifamily projects are a conditional use permit. So whether it was in the community commercial zone district or in the multifamily residential, they would still have to come in with a conditional use permit, and a conditional use permit will go through the Planning Commission for a public hearing and will then again come before you, City Council, for the final decision. So you will, if this is approved tonight for the rezoning, it will come back forward as a multifamily conditional use permit application. And it would have done that under a community commercial zone district anyway. The applicants preferred, and they will come up and speak too, but they preferred to bring it into a residential zone district to get some certainty and to lock down the residential use. And it's cleaner to have it zoned residential and then used as residential rather than to leave it as a commercial zone district. So you can see some of the differences. For instance, the maximum height in commercial is 35 feet. Maximum height in residential is 30 feet. So there's less of an impact with the rezoning application. Setbacks in the commercial versus residential are pretty much the same, 25 front and rear, 8 feet side. Frontages are 50 feet and 40 feet in the residential, so it's less in residential. Parking in a commercial space, we determine parking spaces that are required by the number of square footage. So 1 parking space is required for every 200 square feet. In residential, we determine number of parking spaces required based on the number of bedrooms. 1.5 spaces for a 1-bedroom unit, for instance. 2.5 parking spaces for a 3-bedroom unit. Fencing and shrubbery, pretty much the same. There are limitations in terms of what they can put up with a fence, how high they can be, where it can be, and they're allowed in both residential and commercial zone districts. Signage, same thing. They're allowed in a residential zone district to identify a neighborhood, or in this case, a complex, condominium complex, townhouse complex. And signage is obviously allowed for commercial properties and businesses. Sidewalks, any commercial zone district would require a sidewalk or fee in lieu of that sidewalk. For a multifamily project, same applies. Landscaping, there are landscaping requirements for commercial and multifamily residential that would have to meet our zone district requirements. And then open space requirements in the commercial, it's only 20% of the lot. In the residential zone district, you have to leave 40% of the lot open.
Well.
So when we look at a rezoning application, we really look at 6 criteria that all relate to pretty much our comprehensive plan, which is the aspirational document and or the vision for the city of Woodland Park. This is the map that comes out of the comprehensive plan. It is the land use designation, the aspirational land use designations. So again, the site is marked in a star here, and the designation shown here in pink is mixed use. So in a mixed use zone district, you could have both commercial and residential use. So the first question is the proposed rezoning to multifamily residential suburban consistent with the comprehensive plan map? The answer to that question is yes. because the designation and the aspiration of the community for this particular parcel is a mixed use, which is a combination of residential and commercial. So the rezoning would be compliant and in conformance with the comprehensive plan designations. The next question we ask is the proposed multifamily suburban zoning consistent with the comprehensive plan goals and policies? And again, the answer to that question, staff believes, is yes. What I did was I pulled a few policies out for your benefit, but this rezoning would comply, many policies would comply with this rezoning, or vice versa. This rezoning would comply with many policies, actions, and objectives in our comprehensive plan. Some of these policies deal with increasing diversity in housing in the city of Woodland Park. These townhomes would offer a different, diverse type of housing, a little bit more dense than single-family residential, not quite as high density as a urban residential apartment type complex would offer, and there's still open space. There are economic goals and policies and objectives that encourage infill development, which is exactly what this would be, and it would reduce sprawl around the outer limits of the city or annexation. There's none of that required. There is available water and sewer and infrastructure to service this proposal, and it would be an absolutely wonderful infill project and would comply with the goals to develop infill within developable parcels within the city. The third question we ask is, what changes have occurred in surrounding properties, or simply have changes occurred in surrounding properties that warrant a change in the zoning classification? Again, staff's response to this question is yes. So this is one of the older areas of the city of Woodland Park. Many of the residences, even Fred's Towing, and the buildings that are on that site were built in the 1930s, 50s, that area. So these are older homes that have existed for quite some time. Not all of them, but some of them. So this area has been developed for some time. And yet this parcel has been vacant for all of that time, has never been developed. So as the city is growing around it and encapsulating it, for some reason, this particular parcel never got picked up. So while the city's changing around it, this parcel needs to be developed. It needs to, experience its true value. So in 2014, Tractor Supply came in. They built a new sidewalk adjacent to them on the south side of Spruce Haven Drive, and they did some road improvements there. So with that retail store, with that development, that was a fairly recent addition, which I'm sure is very well used in the city. Highway 67 in Spruce Haven is a full movement intersection, which can sustain the additional traffic that this proposed development would produce. And in 2016, the city council at that time supported an affordable housing needs assessment that identified a need for 741 rental rental, workforce, senior, and other types of housing units for residents and employees of the city of Woodland Park. And this project would contribute to providing and filling that gap in terms of affordable and attainable and workforce housing in the city of Woodland Park. The fourth question we ask is the multifamily suburban zone appropriate at this location? Again, staff would answer yes. It is a fully serviced infill tract that's highly developable. There's available and adequate surrounding services and infrastructure. It's close to city parks. It's close to schools and churches. It's close to downtown and emergency services. It's close to a developed road. It's very developable due to its terrain, its access, and its proximity to services. It would provide for an orderly development progression, and it would reduce sprawl if it is approved. Fifth question is, can maximum density be served by the planned water resources? Again, staff would answer yes. A maximum of 13 residential units is possible on this 1.7 acres currently, right now, if it were to be rezoned into multifamily residential. In 2016, the vacant land lot study and the vacant lot and land use study forecasted approximately 13,600 population at build out, and the target was 12,600, and the provision of water is approximately 1,475 acre feet. Kip Wiley, who is here tonight, the utilities director, did submit a memo. It is one of his typical memos that he submits whenever we have a project where water has not been planned for the project. And what the memo in essence says is that we have the water now. What happens in the future is what is unknown. And Kip is more than happy to come and provide details on that memo if there are any questions about water supply. But at this point in time, we can service this development with water. And it's also a standard plat note that we have. There's no guarantee that water taps will be available in the future for any specific property at any future date. So when this does go through the platting process, which it will have to, that kind of a plat note goes on there just as a note to future developers and buyers that the water is not a guarantee. So the last question we ask is, can the maximum density be served by wastewater treatment? And again, the answer there is yes. The treatment plant was recently expanded, and it is designed to provide for a service population of 14,100 people. We are currently at about 8,200 people in the city of Woodland Park. The treatment capacity with this proposed rezoning is available and adequate. So as I mentioned, if the rezoning is approved, there are subsequent development application processes that the applicant will have to go through. For instance, there will be the conditional use permit, which will come again before City Council. There's also the townhome subdivision, which is an administrative process, the site plan review, which will be concurrent with the conditional use permit. And then there are various zoning development permits and building permits that will be the final stages prior to building. The applicant was not required, but did submit a proposed conceptual plan of what it might look like to develop this site. He's proposing duplexes. He's shown 14, and he is aware that that is over the maximum, the maximum density. The maximum density that you can fit on 1.71 acres is only 13 units. He has since made comments that 12 units would probably even be more appropriate rather than 13. At any rate, this is a conceptual layout of what at least 13 units could look like, and it indicates feasibility and demonstrates evidence that this project is possible.
Laura, can you go back one slide just for a moment? Stop right there. Thank you.
So here's a little sketch of what it might look like in the area if it were to be developed as proposed. So staff and Planning Commission do recommend approval of Ordinance 1396/2021, an ordinance to change the zoning to rezone from community commercial CC to multifamily residential MFS for the 1.71 acre tract with an address of 920 Spruce Haven Drive. I just wanted to show you a map because one of the questions that came up as we were in public hearings for the Planning Commission was the fact that they own more than 1.71 acres. The tract that is 1.71 acres is this L-shaped piece here that you can see. And then the assessor's database shows it as approximately 2 acres in size, and that includes this little panhandle that comes out to the west and comes down here. These are the 2 residences that are north or west of the site. So the density calculation was based on what is usable and feasible for this development, which is this large tract right here. That's why we didn't include the entire holding of 2 acres, but instead used the density calculation for what is developable, which is the 1.71 acres. So this was all deeded, not platted, and parceled out. That's why they're called the Cowitz tracts. Various different times in different decades, and that would not be approved today, just so you know. And then this was in October 25th, 2018. I just wanted to show you another concept that came in for this site that didn't get past the Planning Commission. The applicant withdrew at that point because of the density of development and the proposal and all the traffic and the community response to this proposal, which was for 34 dwelling units. It would have been townhomes again, a larger, higher density of development. So the applicant today is proposing something much less dense and a lot more open space. That concludes my presentation. I would like to introduce Joe Kent, who's here, Aaron and Peter Obering, and Steve Johnson. They can speak to any portion of the development, and then we can answer any questions if you like.
Forgive me for interrupting. I may be incorrect, but do we need a QJ language on this? We didn't start with that, did we?
No, it's not necessary. It was just out of habit that council had been reading it, but it's not legally required.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello. How are you guys?
Hanging in there. How about you?
It's been a long night. So I don't know that we have a lot to add. Laura really did a great job going over everything we're asking for there. Primarily just focused on the rezone right now. We think it's a great use for that property. It sits in between commercial and residential. And so our mind, the single family attached homes make a great transition from single family over to the higher density commercial uses on that lot. And so, happy to take your questions. I can give you more, but it's 10 o'clock at night. I really don't want to hold you longer than we have to. So,
Council, do you have any questions or comments?
Mine are all for Kip, and I do have several.
Sure. We're going to go ahead and let our utilities director come up, and we might circle back, we might not.
yes, sir.
Hey, Kip. Your letter was a little confusing because you mix sewer language with the actual water.
We never mix water.
Good answer. Good answer. Your letter did. It looks like because of the treatment facility, the sewer water, you can handle up to the 14,100 today. So that's not a problem. What I'm understanding in your language, in your letter, is the water usage, because it's going to increase from what is currently zoned. If all other zones are built per what they're actually zoned for today, then the latter developments could be denied the ability to develop per their zone because of water shortage, correct?
Correct, is the short answer. The long answer is your crystal ball. So as we currently sit, we have enough water. So as Laura stated, we have water for, we have approximately 1,475 acre feet of planned water that the city will develop. Okay, to date, we have 1,300 acre feet that is developed. We still have the remaining 175 acre feet left to develop. When you take that water and convert it into a population, it's a population of 12,600. Okay, currently, with the way things are zoned, we have a potential water population of 13,600. So we're about 1,000 acre foot overserved. So back in 2012, the Utilities Advisory Committee looked at water, and there was what was called a 400 unit high priority that was looked at for similar uses, increase in densities, you name it. And those units were then allocated to certain properties. Okay, so basically what the Utilities Committee and the department said is, we feel comfortable we can add those 400 units to expand our population to 13.6 with what's planned. Whenever you change uses, in this case, wasn't planned, there's always a potential that you will not have water for all pieces of property. Okay, but there's also that same potential on the flip side. Maybe a multifamily piece of property rezones to commercial and those uses go back, or a development doesn't build out as planned and you gain units back. And then you always have water conservation. So with low flow fixtures that come up, people use less and less water. So with water planning numbers, what we've seen over the years, why we increase the capacity of the wastewater plant is more population. However, the flow into the wastewater plant stayed the same, so the concentration of the wastewater went up. It also varies on years, wet years, dry years, how much water you have available. So it's not an exact science.
I understand all of that. And thank you very much. We've got to wake up our city attorney because this is a new area for me as a council member. What is our liability if the city approves the rezoning, knowing full well that those properties that have not been developed but are already been zoned where they are entitled, what can come back to us in terms of a lawsuit if they're denied the ability to develop on their property what they've already been zoned to be able to do? Maybe Hillary, you might even.
Kip raise a finger. I think he wants to.
We cannot guarantee water to anyone. That's why we have that clause. It's first come, first serve. What the city does is it manages its water supply to be capable to try to. However, if we know how the city's going to build out in the next 50 years, I wouldn't be here. I'd be doing something else.
Right.
But we do our best to try to plan to accommodate the growth. And it's first come, first serve. So there might be residential lots that can't build a house, but you're going to find that anywhere. You found that where you were.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Counselor
Okay.
Rusty, just so you know, we also put a disclaimer, sorry, on our plats that say there is no guarantee of water, and we also
I saw
have it
that.
in the ordinance that says there's no guarantee of water. So oftentimes a developer, when they look at their plat, they'll see, okay, there's no guarantee.
And I saw both of those. I just wanted to confirm my understanding. And then the next piece has to do with the sewer main, because we did get information that the sewer line, the slope is to the north. That's not where the sewer main is. Who might incur the cost of getting the sewer connection to work on that property?
The developer. So
Okay.
they'll have to engineer it however.
Correct
possible.
answer. Thank you.
Joe gets that, Joe.
Okay. And then on page 24 in our packet, there was talk about a 20-foot easement. There was a letter in our packet on page 24. If somebody could just talk to that. Is there in fact a taking as a result of this?
No, that was just some confusion between us and our neighbors and our realtors, I think. So we have solved that. Yeah, so there is an easement on that property. And so we're currently discussing with the property next door, managing that easement, potentially swapping some property with them, and then as well as redoing that fence along that property line, which we've offered to pay for with them. So there was some confusion early on, and that got a letter sent to you guys. We've since
Right.
handled it. So it's
Okay. And then the last thing I saw, there's no handicap requirement. I know that what is it, Treetop, the actual developer, we have a checklist in there. There was.
Mr. Neal, that's the next item on the agenda.
Oops, I jumped ahead, I guess, in my packet. Thank you. No further questions. Thank you.
Sure. Council, any further questions or comments?
I have one probably for Laura, maybe more of a clarification. You had mentioned about the drainage to the northeast corner. So on the assumption that this is approved, would that be something you go over in more detail during the conditional use permit?
Yes.
Okay, thank
And
you.
the site plan review as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question.
So my first comment is to you, Joe, and property owners. Kudos to you to have the desire to develop your property the way you choose to. So I'm totally in support of that. I think it's great. I like your concept. That's fabulous. My concern with this entire process is how we create an ordinance for this. And we have a concept document called a comprehensive plan, which has no bearing in the law at all. It's just a suggestion of how we'd like to see Woodland Park unfold. And yet, the criteria that you've had to jump through, the hoops you've had to jump through, are to fulfill somebody else's aspirational desires that impact your ability to do something with your land. I'm opposed to that. I'm totally opposed to that. And I'm totally opposed, and this question is probably for you, Jeff, is when we create an ordinance based on a premise of an aspirational document which has no legal bearing, down the road, does that ordinance, which now becomes law, does that become a precedent for saying that the comprehensive plan now has the force of law because we've made it precedent by making it our criteria for allowing these property owners to change the use of their property?
I don't think there's any kind of precedent that is going to box you in on the exercise of your legislative authority at all.
Not our legislative authority. I'm talking about a lawsuit down the road where somebody wants to do something with their land, and because it's not in our comprehensive plan, they're denied the ability to do that with their land. I mean, I'm not saying, no, I am saying that what Kip's laid out with water and sewer, very important. But he's also talked about first come, first serve.
So I just
That's free-
want to be careful here. This is quasi judicial, so we have to stay on target. And I understand where you're going with this.
Good.
A comprehensive plan is just a resource that the community uses for development, but what we are abiding by is actually zoning regulations, not comprehensive. I know the comprehensive plan language is in there that Laura touched base on it, that the development of that lot would be good because it falls within this comprehensive plan for our community.
There's 6 points of question, 4 of which were with, I might be incorrect, it might be in 3 or 4 of them were criteria was comprehensive plan. 2 of them were effects of that really affect in terms of public resources.
So ultimately what we are looking at today though is it is currently zoned one way, which is community commercial. And would we like to change the zoning to make it so that they can put the residential?
I totally get that.
Yeah, and so
I get that. I raised this point last meeting to object to the idea of making the comprehensive plan the criteria for us establishing an ordinance. I brought that before council last meeting, and we're still doing it. And I want the record clearly to reflect that these property owners have a right to develop their property as they see appropriate for themselves, not according to the mass, not according to the mass idea that says, this is how we want it. You need to conform to what we're saying. And my concern about that,
they have a right to develop their land so long as it fits within the regulations of the zoning law that is already intact. And right now, if we don't agree to this change, they may not be able to do what they want. That's the catch-22 that I think you're it's getting
I brought it before council. I get where you're going. I get it. I brought this before council last meeting. Nothing was done about it. The language has remained the same. So what I'm saying is, for the record, these property owners, kudos to you for wanting to develop your property, going through the necessary hoops. But on our standpoint, I'm concerned that we don't set a precedent that says all development that we do is according to our comprehensive plan, which is an aspirational document and not a legal document.
Laura, would you like to explain?
I would like to just say that your concerns are noted. Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and let Laura explain the difference of why the language of comprehensive plan is in there, but what it actually means to zone something and where the law of the zoning comes from and why we abide by that.
So Councillor Zuluaga is correct. The first 2 questions we ask are directly related to the comprehensive plan. Comprehensive plan is an aspirational document of the community of the city of Woodland Park. Many people were involved in the drafting of that plan, and it is an aspirational document of the entire community. So it's not just one or two people telling one or two other people what to do. This is a community document that does and was created with the express purpose of guiding development in the city of Woodland Park. The community wants to see mixed use here. The applicant is proposing residential, which fits in with the comprehensive plan. If they were proposing agriculture here, for instance, which we have one parcel that's zoned agricultural, but if they were proposing agriculture here and the community plan is showing mixed use, we would say, no, it does not comply with the comprehensive plan. But council could simply say, okay, it doesn't comply with our plan, but agricultural is still a viable use on this parcel. Let's let it go. You don't, it's an aspirational document in that it's not binding. You don't have to yes or no. There is ambiguity and there is vagueness that can allow you to recommend a zone district or a rezoning that isn't in the comprehensive plan. So this does change the zone from community commercial to multifamily residential. I went through the differences in those two zone districts. And that's really the essence of this rezoning application. The comprehensive plan was created to guide these kinds of decisions. If you agree with the comprehensive plan, that's great. If you don't, voice your opinion as you would for any ordinance.
Right, and just briefly, part of the reason so we have to take it as is with the wording as we're reading this proposal, because that comprehensive plan was adopted. This is not the new one that they're talking about. This is the old one that has been around for 10 years. And so every time we get an issue like this, that is going to be the wording of the document, because that's standard legal format for the wording of the document. So it's just the way that it's written. And it doesn't mean you have to agree with what they're proposing. And that's why we're here today to hear it. So.
And I know, Rusty, you want to make a comment. If I just want to speak into that. That's exactly the point here. These property owners are absolutely entitled, and I laud the process they've gone through here. The part that I don't, that I raised before it even became a public hearing, is that we are basing it on a foundation of checks of check boxes that isn't fair to him in the first place, or them. It's not just you, the others as well. It's not, so I haven't had one of these that, to my knowledge, that has gone through all of the comprehensive plan checklists as being part of an ordinance. And I'm setting a marker in the sand to say that I don't want to see our ordinances based on a comprehensive plan, a conceptual document that isn't based in law. You can have a series of questions, but that to me is problematic. It's problematic to do that because it then allows the process to be driven by something other than the law, which everyone needs to abide by. And a comprehensive plan is just a suggestion.
Lord, does the ordinance have any language in it about the comprehensive plan? The ordinance in and of itself?
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk
I
to.
remember.
Section
Okay.
3
Section 3
of the ordinance. Do you want me to read it?
I just wanted to just double check.
I was going to make a suggestion on the language, because I agree with Robert in that we have a danger here of codifying the comprehensive plan beyond it being an aspirational document with this language. And a very simple couple word change could make this ordinance stand on its own merit. In other words, where it says the growth represented by the property's build out is compatible with the city's comprehensive plan, all you'd have to do is say build out is compatible with the city's water plan or current water plan. The city is in the process of developing water supplies which are sufficient to serve the city in accordance with the current water department's plan. We could substitute those words, which ties it to what has actually been planned by the utilities director, and it does not add any kind of a inference that we are codifying the comprehensive plan. And I think that's your point.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And it would be a very simple legal language change, which would make this completely palatable, I think.
Absolutely.
Probably. And Kelly, I don't think you would object if we made those few changes right there, because it does tie it to a comprehensive plan.
I don't have a problem with comprehensive plan. I went through the process, and it does reflect the desires of a great amount of the community that took place 10 years ago. It was the plan that was adopted and was the hopes of how our city would fit together based on zoning. And as long as it doesn't compromise the form or violate any law with regards to the form of this and our ordinances and our guidance and how we evaluate changes of zoning, I don't have a problem with it. But if it's there because of form, and it should be there, it is a document that was adopted by the community, and it does help guide decisions so that we don't get a mishmash of zoning similar to the one that comes to mind is Houston. And so there's a purpose for it. It's a guide. It's something that we can reference to keep our focus the way it should be for the entire community. It's not just this parcel. So I don't have an issue with the comp plan. I fully understand its purpose, and I understand how it helps us as a guiding document and why we update it when we do.
And I think my point is when the planning department gave the presentation and when Laura, you covered that it is in compliance and it is compatible, I, representing the citizens, that helps me to determine how I would cast my vote, because it's great infill use. It's in a great location. It is a very high priority that the citizens have placed in the comprehensive plan, that aspirational document. So we are trying to cast a vote that would bring us a little closer to what the citizens are asking us. So I like that being covered in the staff report, but I'd prefer to kind of not have it in the actual ordinance if possible.
So Mayor Pro Tem, if I may just make a suggestion, we don't really have a water plan. We don't really have a water plan, so I would just ask Kip if better language might be water calculations, because that's what it is.
That's even better.
Yeah. If you wanted to change.
Because there are really no water calculations in the comprehensive plan either.
Well, we use
Yes.
calculations that are produced by the utilities department in the comprehensive plan to make these kinds of statements, so they're tied together. But the calculations, as Kip just mentioned, are not written in stone either. They're
Correct.
written in sand. So you're trading one aspirational document for another.
They're just tools.
Yeah.
They're tools that we use
Yeah.
to check ourselves that we're headed in the right direction. And there's many of them. There's a park, trails, and open space master plan that guides us with regards to open space in subdivisions. There's all kinds of those kinds of documents that have been prepared by a group of folks that we've asked to do that. And we use those as guides and tools to keep ourselves in check so that we see the big picture, and we're trying to stay within that dream or that plan, if you will. It's not punitive, and it isn't something that would cause us to say no, because it's our decision. But it's a guide. It's a tool that we use so that we can see the bigger picture and not get our focus so narrow that we lose sight of what the whole should look like.
And I get that also. I guess I would be more comfortable seeing the master plan instead of the comprehensive plan, because that has teeth. The master plan exists in the statutes, whereas the comprehensive plan does not. So again, I would just like to see the language cleaned up, like Robert has suggested.
So Councilor Neal, new batteries. I would just want to mention that while the statute uses master plan, it is synonymous with comprehensive plan.
Yes, correct.
Well, yes and no.
Yeah. And this is a home
Yes and
rule
no.
community.
Yes. I know.
So the statutes.
I'm sorry, may I? I agree with Councilmember Neal and Zuluaga's comments on the concerns about referencing the comprehensive plan so much, it being a rather less than objective format to compare these requests to. I know the comment was made earlier that this is not about the comprehensive plan, this is a zoning issue. That, in my mind, lends itself to asking the question, why are we not seeing this presentation being compared to current zoning versus the changes of zoning within the municipal code, and instead it's being compared to the comprehensive plan? I think that becomes a much more objective way to present these requests than with an aspirational document.
Those are the regulations.
They're
that we're
right there.
evaluating.
I agree. And so I'm not understanding why the request is being compared to the comprehensive plan.
It's not being compared. It is the way in which they word a document to just say that it fits within the policy of the community, not the law. That's the law, and they're asking us to change it. This group of people are asking us to change the zoning so they can build what they want. They don't give a damn whether it says master plan or community plan or whatever policy it falls within. They don't care what your principle is about the comprehensive plan. They don't care that it says that. Millions of them before them say that wording, and it doesn't affect legally whether they can do it or not. What affects it legally is, do we agree to change the zoning or not? That is our legislative responsibility. That's it. That's all they're here for. It's 10:30 at night, and they want to know, can they proceed with their project, hopefully, or not? And it's through zoning, not master plan, not comprehensive plan, not policy wording that just happens to be there. If you guys want it stricken from the ordinance, strike it from the ordinance and move on and let these people go home. I think we've had enough discussion on it, and I'd like a motion.
I've
We can
barely been
amend the
able to
motion.
comment, so I'd appreciate a little bit further comment on that. To say, I absolutely agree. They probably don't care. They just want to be able to do with their property as they please, and they should be able to do that. That is a principle I stand
And
on
a policy
wholeheartedly.
doesn't stop
But that's the difference, is we want to compare it to the law.
It is semantics.
Not an aspirational document of what the community
The aspirational
desires,
document of
but
their
what
zoning change
they
is
desire with their
semantics.
property. And that's the concern that Councilmember
guys are
Neal
hung
and
up
Zuluaga
on
are bringing
semantics.
up, is that are we giving more like Rusty said, codifying this comprehensive plan to be able to
No.
hold us to that?
Do you think changing
May we
just
call
this
the question,
one?
Mayor Pro Tem LeBlanc?
Just changing this one? How many of these beforehand do you think reference the comprehensive plan?
But just
At
because
least 10 years worth.
I agree, but just because it
And
has
it
been done
doesn't
that way doesn't mean it
prevent-
needs to continue to be done that way.
Right, so all we have to.
Mayor Pro Tem, can I just suggest, you're absolutely correct. There's one thing that's needed for this to move forward, and that is if we could ask Jeff to make sure that the language is removed from the comprehensive plan in the ordinance and that it's cleaned up to reflect a more law-based thing. So the motion, we make the motion, we make the change, we move forward, they get it approved, and we all move on with things. I think the point's been really well articulated, and it's you articulated the solution. Just make the change.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do it.
And I will, okay, so
Go for it, make the motion.
I make a motion that
No,
we.
need public comment.
Oh, do you?
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
Always.
Good girl.
Help
I see no public comment on Zoom that I'm aware of. Rob, do you see any hands up? Oh, okay. Are there any audience members that have any comment?
Me too. I got it.
Seeing none, now may I have the motion?
Yes, so I move that we approve the zoning or rezoning request for the Grover at Spruce Haven, ordinance number 1396, 2021, request by Hop Tree Development LLC and Diane Dunlap Kramer Trust, rezoning from community commercial to multifamily residential suburban, with the amendment that we will remove the language of comprehensive plan within that ordinance, supplementing it with something in line with.
It can just
It
be
has to
stricken.
be certain.
It can just be stricken. It's three,
Can
how
just
many
be strict.
words?
Yes.
Can we just strike it and end the sentence? Or do we need to change the language to be something similar to water calculations or such?
You may do either, but you could certainly just strike the
Okay.
reference to the comprehensive.
We'll make that simple then, with the amendment that we remove the language of comprehensive plan throughout the ordinance.
I'm sorry, City Attorney Wilson, it makes no sense if you just take out the word comprehensive plan. You do have to substitute something, perhaps
So
water calculations?
Water calculations
Yes.
was mentioned earlier.
That's just ridiculous.
Can you make
It's
a
true. You just
suggestion?
take out
It's
Laura.
another aspirational document. It's just ridiculous.
You have to substitute something. What would you like to substitute in there?
Compatible with the current
City code.
Water
Water plan.
water availability
water plan.
expectations. Long-term water availability expectations.
Just say water calculations. We're just going to say water calculations.
Can we delete the whole first sentence?
You could delete the whole section,
delete the
couldn't
whole-
you?
I think it's important to talk about the guarantee of, or the lack of guarantee of water. So the first sentence, we can delete the, as of the date of this ordinance, the growth represented by the properties build out is compatible with the city's comprehensive plan. Delete. And then the next one is, the city's in the process of developing water supplies which are sufficient in accordance
the
with
city.
with water calculations. I really don't.
Yeah, however, because water development is only partially within the city's control, the city cannot
Planned
reserve the
future
water.
build out.
Yeah,
That's
keep
what-
the last sentence where it begins with the word however. Delete the first sentence and just say after water availability, the city is in the process of developing water supplies which are sufficient to serve the city in accordance with
Planned future
current-
build out.
Yeah, or current zoning plans. Current zoning.
Based on current zoning.
Yeah, because everything's based on.
Let's take the second sentence out too.
At the dais.
Let's take the first and second sentence out and then take out the however, because. Let's just start with water development is.
Only partially within city control. Okay, I like that. And that covers water availability, and that's it.
Good enough?
Clean, yeah, first and second gone.
Laura and Kip, are you both comfortable with that language?
Well, see, I would.
Yes.
keep the second one
Okay.
here.
She said.
Has someone documented it appropriately?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
We already are, that's already good.
We're going to delete the first two sentences.
Well, you can't delete the second sentence.
Sure you can.
Yeah, because you're stating what the water
Read it
availability is.
the way.
And then you get rid of however.
Yes, and then it will say
Okay, so
water
remove the
development.
word however and because.
Yes,
And pick up with a capital W on water development is only.
correct.
Yep, that grammatically is correct.
Thank you.
Could I ask the applicant about their thoughts?
They just want a yes vote.
As long as you approve it, we're good.
We're getting there.
I have never in my life seen
You'll get one.
It's for your kids.
Suzanne, do you need a clarification on the motion?
I think.
I don't, well, I need a new motion because that motion that you had prior is different.
Right.
But what I do need, I believe for the record, is exactly how that's to read because I published this
Yeah.
as the first ordinance. So
Right.
for the record, let's read it correctly and exactly how it's going to be.
Let's-
Section 3.
Yeah.
Correct.
Let's,
And whether it's substantive. and
Can
you
we
have to
let-
Republish.
can we let Laura please read it because I
The
think she
attorney was
has
gonna read it, but that's good.
Yeah.
a hold on
So-
exact wording.
Delete section 3 in its entirety and replace with water development is only partially within the city's control, comma, the city cannot reserve water for the property and cannot guarantee that water taps will be available for the property at any future date, period.
Period. Because that puts them on notice.
So we have it on the record.
Perfect.
Do we have to republish? Thank you.
As advised by our city attorney, correct, sir?
So go ahead. and
Can I
make
get a
the-
new motion, please?
Okay. Let me try this one more time. So So I move that we approve ordinance number 1396, 2021, a rezoning request by Hop Tree Development LLC and Diane K. Dunlap Kramer Trust to rezone from community commercial to multifamily residential suburban, approximately 1.71 acres of land.
Amended.
920 Spruce Haven Drive, amended as per the presented by Laura with the amended language.
And I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
I think that was hard.
And Suzanne, I seconded it. Mhm.
Yes.
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 Labar,
Yes.
Neil.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
That means you're approved.
Sorry that we have one more thing.
I'm sorry for you.
All right. Number 10, new business, letter A.
New business, Resolution 877. Resolution 877 is before council to allocate 8 water taps for proposed development. The developer, Hoptree Development 2, would like to develop lots 3 through 6 of Block 9 Foster's Addition to Manitou Park, otherwise known as address 303 Baldwin Street, so behind Big O Tires. A little bit of background. These lots were rezoned on November 6, 2019 to allow for residential use in community commercial zone. This would allow for 2 dwelling units per lot, 4 lots, 8 dwelling units for a total. So they are here to request 8 water tap allocations for this project. The why is this in front of you? Multifamily projects, triplex or larger, are approved by council per section 1327.050D. Also, resolution 380 that developed a list of criteria which would evaluate multifamily water tap allocations. There's 11 criteria. This project meets 9 of those 11 criteria. There is no definition if a project needs to meet any of them. It's just a way to evaluate them. So before council is resolution 877 allocating 8 water taps to the project at 303 Baldwin Street. Can I answer any questions?
Just to enlighten me, why is it the proposed includes services and facilities for the senior community and handicapped? How does that play in to water tap factoring?
Great question. It's a list of criteria that we look at that was developed per this resolution. Every project's different. Some meet those, some don't. Not every residential house has handicap or ADA accommodations, but there are, like, for example, apartments that would require council's approval that do meet those requirements. So.
And I believe it's important to understand that this is the result of our tap management plan. So because in the middle of the 1990s, the city recognized that we had a finite amount of water. And in order to better plan for the uses of these waters, we separated single-family taps from multifamily taps. So there was a separate bank, and this was created, this criteria, in order that council had a chance to decide, is this a good application for these multifamily taps? And so the criteria was created with all these various types of considerations for you to be able to say, yes, we can allocate 8 of the multifamily taps from that bank. These developers actually could get single family taps, but they can only get 2 per month. So the reason they come and ask for the multifamily is so they can build them all at once. Part of the tap management plan to protect our water supply.
So what we've done, and thank you for that, Sally, great clarification. So every year in January, I bring to council the annual water tap allotment. Part of that calculation factors in how many taps we've already accounted for in a multifamily bank, because single family taps are transferred to the multifamily bank to support these types of projects. They're already factored in my committed water tap calculation. So currently we have 72 taps in that multifamily bank. With these 8, they'll drop that down to 64. If we need more in the multifamily bank, I come back to council with another resolution, taking taps from the single family bank and moving them into the multifamily bank.
Council, any further questions?
I just looked at the resolution and luckily it doesn't say comprehensive plan anywhere.
Stop looking.
You know, I was going to lead with that.
Thanks, Kip.
Oh, you're going to lead with it.
Well, I'll go ahead 2 for 2. Move that we approve resolution number 877, series 2021, allocating 8 multifamily water taps for the proposed Rampart Village Townhome Development by Hop Tree Development 2 LLC at lots 3 through 6, block 9, Foster's Addition to Manitou Park.
And I'll second that.
Alfieri?
Yes.
Case?
Yes.
Labar?
Yes.
Neal?
Yes.
Zulawaga?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, council.
Thank you. Thanks, Kip.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for your
Thank you very
patience.
much.
Good night.
We did it.
Welcome to government.
All right. Number 11 on the agenda, reports.
We're
I
almost
have
done.
nothing to report. Going to move on to Councilmember Case.
Thank you, Hillary. I had a client that was very talkative, and I did not make it to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board meeting, unfortunately. But hey, you know, it pays the bills. So I have nothing to report at this time. And Dawn, I don't think we had anything earth-shattering to share with the council, but thank you. Okay. Well, I'll catch up with Cindy before that. So if there's anything that the board or the committee had and wanted to share with you all, I'll be sure and bring that when we consider what comes before us. And I just want to bring up, it's a little early, but just for planning purposes, the city of Woodland Park is partnering again with several other partners in the community, but Keller Williams, Client's Choice, and the city of Woodland Park are sponsoring a electronics recycling event. It's our 6th for Keller Williams, our 2nd partnering with the city. It'll be located at the Public Works facility on Rampart Range Road. I think it's 2401, maybe somewhere out there by it's out north on Rampart. And then that's June 26th. And then on July 17th, we've arranged for Shred It to be out there again as a complimentary shred day for the community. We'll be posting information for both on Facebook. The city will have a copy of the flyer they can put out on the website, and that is complimentary except for anything that is a television or a monitor, flat panel, whatever it is. Those do have, but we have to be paid for, but we have negotiated a reduced fee per pound for those. So plan on that. It's from 9 to noon on the 26th of June, and bring all your junk, and you'd be amazed after 6 years the amount of those big honking TVs that show up.
With a big back.
Oh yeah, millions of them. It's amazing. I don't know where they're all coming from, and we usually partner with Focus on the Forest as one of our nonprofits. We've invited Keep Woodland Park Beautiful to come and talk with folks and talk about themselves and what they do, because people sit in line and you have an opportunity to visit with folks that come out in their car. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Case, I would just like to give credit to, it's the City of Woodland Park Safety Committee.
Thank you.
That Keller Williams, it's part of their mission. It's the safety committee that partners with you.
So we work together in that, and with our partners that we do business with on a regular basis, they contribute and we put together and share those costs so that it's a service to the community. And it's been really received very well and keeps those things out of where they're not supposed to be, called landfills. So thanks a lot.
That was a lot for not having anything.
Good comment.
You got 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, yep, 10 minutes. Yeah. Councilmember Neal, please.
Just to follow up, since I did make a fairly significant comment on my subcommittee at the last council meeting, I do want to give a follow-up to my fellow members. I want to thank the city manager and the planning director. We had an arranged telephone call with some of the senior people in Logan Simpson. Went through all of my concerns. I have been assured that they have mechanisms to solve the issues that I was having with the data. And when we get the final reports, the data will have a fidelity that will allow us to evaluate and make, the appropriate votes on the comprehensive plan. I was very pleased with how well the team came to that meeting, and I reached out to Michael to thank him for whomever prepared the Logan Simpson representative, and I wish I could remember his name. I kept looking for it. Sally, you know his name.
Bruce Mayhem.
Bruce Mayhem. He came so well briefed that it was delightful to go through some hard questions. He was prepared, had good answers that put me into a warm and fuzzy right now. And let's see what the data shows, how we can slice and dice it. And I think we may have solved a lot of the problems. So thank you, Sally. And that's my update for my subcommittee, which again meets on Monday, I guess it is.
All committees.
All committees on Monday again.
Yep.
So thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. You're on.
All right. So Main Street, probably the biggest announcement is that there's a citywide cleanup happening on Friday. It starts at 8:45 over at the infamous amphitheater, which has got another name, but it's called
No.
Tava. What's it called? What's it called?
Well,
TSR.
I like to call it the Tava Plaza.
The Tava Plaza. It's the amphitheater, the one that's got such wonderful acoustics. Anyway, so we're gathering there. We've got over 20 volunteers so far signed up. We're shooting for a goal of 50. So if you and your friends want to do something on Friday morning, 8:45, be there or be square, and it goes till noon. We'll have all the cleaning materials and things you need for cleaning it up. We'll be working with the city staff to get our downtown main area ready for guests as we move into the spring.
So Sally, is that commonly known as the stupid round thing?
Thank you. Yep, that's it.
SRT.
SRT.
Okay, the SRT.
Can I clarify one thing you said? When you say Friday, you mean tomorrow as in an hour from now, not next
An hour
Friday,
from now.
right?
Yeah, I actually
Okay.
have to show up at 8 to move some of the stuff. So yes.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure there was
tomorrow,
no
yeah.
confusion
Anyone
when
who's
you
still
said
up and
Friday.
listening and absolutely busting to go and get some exercise, that is tomorrow. I got to cut it short. So the DDA did meet and has agreed that we're going to move forward on getting some beautification landscaping done down on Woodland Station, ready for people to be able to use that space this spring and summer. And the city staff is working with them on some materials that are there. So it's all moving along. And once again, if you would like to volunteer, there is absolutely lots of participation positions available there. That's all for now.
I have nothing vital tonight, other than just a reminder that at some point we probably need to readdress the council appointments to boards and commissions.
Would you, Mayor Pro Tem, would you like me to put that on one of the June future council agendas? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
City attorney. All right. City manager.
I'll go really fast because it's late.
And you got 6 minutes.
6 minutes go. All right. Say what?
Speed read like lore.
Okay, that was really good. I apologize that you are just now getting March sales tax data. We'll have April and Q1 for you hopefully next month. I don't know a lot of details. I apologize, but I'll try and give a high-level overview and do my best to answer questions that hopefully don't come. March last year compared to this year was up 13%. Year to date compared to last year, we're also up 13%. Not a lot of change in this story. A lot of that large growth, a lot of cities are seeing driven by the same things we've seen over the past year. Grocery and online sales are strong while we've all been stuck in our homes, so happy and merry. But building materials, as we all know by this point, are going crazy too. So you can't buy a stick of wood for anything. So that you're seeing that a little bit too. For lodging tax, you see a very large 75% number there. Looking at Q1, which is usually a pretty quiet quarter. Again, there's not much new to report here. We did bring the microtel online, and we didn't. Microtel came online in July of last year. We also brought on lodging revs, which recognizes those short-term rentals out there, and we collect that revenue. And so you see that in this year compared to last year. It's just a big change. So not a whole lot new. So if there's questions, I'll do my best.
I would just point out one really positive aspect is when you look at lodging tax for this year. Of course, last year during March, it was down more than 50%, and we have absolutely rebounded to the prior year's lodging tax revenue. So that's a really positive sign.
And I'm reading, and I'm sure you all are as well, that vacations are going to have some crazy pent-up demand. So we hopefully will see that number just continue to rise, because I know we all want to contribute to it. Maybe not in Woodland Park, but in other places.
Thank you. We also had number 2 under D for the Woodland Aquatic Center, but Cindy is not here this evening because she also has to open the pool and be the lifeguard at the pool and run the register at the pool and chase children around the pool and kick out people who don't want to wear swimsuits at the pool. And so we're
short-staffed.
We got 3 minutes for that.
So you guys are awake. So she is not here this evening to present, but she will probably be at next council to present that information for us. So we didn't want to keep her this late. So I believe we are finished. So this meeting is adjourned.
Yay. 2 minutes to go.